so just about 4 years.
Would you please summarize for the jury what sort of experience you have in elections work?
I have about 20 years of experience in elections. I started in Teller County, Colorado, which is a small county, and I worked there for about 6 years. Then I went to El Paso County, which is a really large county, and I worked there for about 10 years. And then I came here to Mesa County, and I've been here about 4 years now.
Ms. Vance, would you just tell us a little bit more detail about the jobs you had, starting with the Teller County position? What was your job title, and what sort of duties did you have?
Yes, absolutely. So I started as an administrative assistant in Teller County. So my tasks were to handle data entry, do administrative tasks like faxes, all the stuff that nobody else wanted to do, but my election experience was with data entry. Then I moved up to be the deputy there in Teller County of Elections. And then when I went to El Paso County, I started as an election specialist, which had tasks dealing with voter registration primarily. And then I was moved up to the mail ballot supervisor. So I oversaw all the tasks in the back that deal with processing ballots, overseeing the team members that work with tabulating the ballots. So overseeing all that. But in the small county, when I started in Teller County to go back, you work with the clerk and recorder because it's a small county. So you oversee really everything in elections. You don't have specific jobs for each individual. So you work together as a team with the clerk to administer the elections overall. So when I started as administrator, I didn't have that. I just did data entry. But then when I moved up in my position, I helped the clerk oversee everything. In El Paso County, a bigger county, we have more individual jobs where you're responsible for a specific task. We do all work as a team. So if somebody is, has a large load, we'll go step in and help them out with that. But primarily you have one duty. So when I left there, I was the mail ballot supervisor, and I oversaw that whole process of handling the ballots. Now here in Mesa County, I have a bigger role. I oversee the whole thing. So I work directly with the clerk and recorder to administrate those elections, work with our team. We rely heavily on each other to get all the tasks done because we're not considered a small county, but we're not a large county, but we're big enough where we're in that grouping with that 10 top big counties. So we don't have that huge staff like everybody else does where you can just say, okay, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for this. We kind of all share those duties. So my main responsibility is to be there to support that team and make sure that everything goes smoothly with our elections here in Mesa County.
Ms. Vance, let me direct your attention to your job in Mesa County in 2021. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. What were your job responsibilities in 2021?
So as far as my job responsibilities go, it still remains the same. Still working with the clerk to just ensure that all of the tasks are done properly and that we abide by the laws and rules.
Were you the director of elections for Mesa County in 2021?
Yes, I was.
So you've had the same title for this whole 4 years?
Yes, I have.
Super. Can you tell the jury who you worked with between April and August of 2021?
So our clerk at the time was Tina. We had our chief deputy, who was Belinda. I had my back office manager, who was Sandy. My front office manager, that was Stephanie.
That's perfect.
Okay, good. I'm like, we've had some turnover, so it's hard to remember that far back. I apologize.
That was the core leadership team.
Yes.
Great. And you mentioned Tina. Do you see Ms. Peters in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please describe what she's wearing and where she's seated?
She's seated to my right here at the table, and she has a black blazer on with a reddish top with some pattern on it. It's hard for me to see this far away. I apologize.
Sure, thank you. Your Honor, let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. Ms. Vance, I'd like you to talk a little bit about what security measures were in place in 2021 to ensure voter integrity. And let's first start talking about network security matters. Do you have familiarity with that?
Yes, I'm not an expert by any means, but yes, I do have some familiarity with it.
Well, based on your work experience and your personal knowledge, can you describe for the jury some of the network security measures that were in place in 2021?
Absolutely. So as I talked about, I have some experience with other counties, but by far the security that's in place here in Mesa County surpasses those. As far as our network, getting into our computers, we are assigned a YubiKey, and people are like, what that? I have it with me because it's specific to each individual, and it's apparatus that you use to plug into your county computer. It's like a two-factor authentication, I guess, that is assigned specifically to you. So not only do you have your specific county username and password to get into your county computer, but you also have a YubiKey that you have to stick in to identify yourself before you can even log into that computer itself. So far as network security and getting in, it's top-notch. As far as security for our election, like getting into our statewide database, we also have to use that username, password, YubiKey to get into the computer system, but we also have a unique username and password to get into the statewide database. And then in addition to that database, we also have a grid card, which is like a battleship card that's assigned specifically to you, where it'll ask you like, A3, what is the number or letter in there, and you have to type it in to get into the system at all. So it is very tight security to get into our network and into our statewide database.
Let me ask you about election equipment specifically. Is the election equipment all together?
For Mesa County, we do. We have all of our election management system secured in one location. So that is across the street at the Citizen Service Center. We have a room there that is secured by key card access. So each individual is given a key card. The law states that anybody that enters that room has to log their name, the date, and the time, including AM, PM, when they enter that room that has that secure equipment. So you can either do this by paper log or by electronic log, as long as it produces that information that's required. So in order to access there, you'd have to swipe your key card to gain access to that room to even get to where our equipment is. In addition to that security, not everybody in Mesa County's badge will access that room. You have to be on a security plan that is approved by the Secretary of State's office to be able to have access in the room and be there by yourself.
Do you know what's required for somebody to get onto the security plan?
You have to have a background check. That is required for any election official annually. So in our office, we handle that internally because it does say a clerk and recorder staff has to do those background checks. And if we are to add you onto that election plan, we have to also include your name, your title, the date your background check was ran as well.
Great. You mentioned the location just being across the street. Is that in Mesa County, Colorado?
That is.
Thank
yes.
you.
You're welcome.
In that building where all the election office is and where the equipment sits, is there video surveillance?
Yes, that is another requirement under the law, that our equipment is under video surveillance. There are certain periods of time before and after election that it's required. But when I came over to Mesa County as the director of elections, that's one of my duties, ensuring that we're in compliance with the law. So I reached out to our IT department and asked about the protocols with that. Who do I contact? Who do I reach out to make sure that this is running when it needs to be? And we retain all of the information. And I was told by the IT department that Mesa County just runs the video surveillance 24/7, 365. It doesn't cost any extra to maintain that with the program that they have. So I said, great, that's wonderful. It's one less thing that I have to worry about getting it turned on in time or getting it turned off in time. And retention period, they keep it longer than the 25 months that's required by law. So that was a benefit for me moving over here too. One less thing to have to worry about.
Your Honor, I'd like permission to approach the witness with exhibit number 16.
Yes, and I can see you're showing that to counsel, so whenever you're ready, you can approach.
If you're gonna use those digits, I'd like
We gave you the full set.
16? Yes. We have no objection, Your Honor, we'll stipulate the foundation.
Okay, exhibit 16 is admitted.
Ms. Bantz, have you had a chance to review exhibit number 16?
Yes.
Can you describe what that is for the jury?
This is correspondence between myself and the IT department inquiring about a video surveillance, also copied and pasted the requirements of the law for the video surveillance, and just making sure that we were in compliance and how things function.
Who authored the email, or is it a chain?
It's a chain of emails, but I believe, if I skip back here, I was the one who initiated it.
Why did you send the email, and who did you send it to?
So it looks like all that was included on here was our facilities department, and Stephanie Winholtz initially, and then it also includes some other individuals, it looks like later on with our IT department, Lana Jordan, because facilities informed me that IT was the one that handled the cameras.
And why was it that you were reaching out to them?
For this one, it was to make sure that that they were aware, like understanding what the rules were, where we were required to film, making sure that we were in compliance and that what we had did comply with the laws.
And were you satisfied when you received that correspondence that the video surveillance was in compliance?
Yes.
And you learned that it was running 24 hours, you said?
Yes.
Great. Was that the custom and habit in Mesa County?
Yes, that's what they told me that they had done for years and years. The IT director, or Alana, told me that that has been the custom the whole time she had worked there.
Great. We were also talking about the election equipment, and I think I asked you if it's in a separate room. Can you just describe for the jury what is the actual election equipment that's in that secured room that requires this separate key card access?
Absolutely. So our office is set up a little bit different now. We had to expand to have space to process because Mesa County is growing, so I have to think back to what it was in 21. But we had a central location that had our election management system in it. So it has our servers, all of our tabulators, all of our equipment that we use for duplication. So everything that's in considered election management system is in that secure room. So in 2021, it was just on the other side of the door of our election office. So you had to use your key card access to get into that room. And that's where all of that equipment was. Off to the right when you walked in there, there was a like a storage closet. And then there were additional doors that were locked that went into another area for ballot processing that was also secured. So, yeah.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness with exhibit number 23?
No objection.
All right, and it looks like you've shown that to counsel. You may approach for, did I hear no objection, Mr. Case?
No objection.
All right, 23 is admitted.
Ms. Bantz, I just handed you exhibit 23. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Would you, Your Honor, may we have permission to publish for the jury?
Yes?
Ms. Bantz, exhibit 23 is now published behind you on the screen, but you have a hard copy in front of you. Can you describe what that is for the jury, please?
This is a poster that was in our ballot processing rooms in the back area, the back secure area, that describes that we didn't let people have their cell phones, no cameras, no recording devices, nothing in the back areas.
Do you know why that was a policy?
So the laws and rules have changed a little bit, but back then the clerk had the discretion to allow watchers to have their phones or recording devices, and our clerk's policy was no, it's not allowed at all. So you were not allowed to have your cell phones, recording devices, or anything where in our voter service and polling centers or in the secure areas.
And for what reason was it locked down like that?
Security purposes, also the privacy of people's votes, because even though in the instructions on the top of the ballot it tells people don't initial your ballots, if you need to make a change, this is how you do it, we still have people that put their initials on there or sign their ballots. And in the Constitution, it says that everybody is entitled to a secret vote. So there is sensitive information that, our judges that take oaths and people in the back room see. So to ensure that integrity and that nothing that is considered personal identifying information is released, or that nobody records any passwords or usernames or anything that's required to get into any of that equipment.
Thank you. We can take that down now. Thank you. Let me ask you a little bit more about that separate room where the election equipment is stored. We talked about network security and the need to have separate passwords and YubiKeys to get into the Mesa County network. Is the equipment in that room connected to the same network?
It is not. No, the equipment in the room is not connected to any internet or anything. There is a hub that connects all of that equipment just internally in that room so it can talk to itself.
So how do you get information from the voting equipment out to the public when that's appropriate?
There is rules that outline the steps that we have to take to do that. So you can use a clean thumb drive and you take that information off the election management system. As far as the results go, you print your summary report there in the room. But then you take that information on that thumb drive and you take it out to a county network computer and you upload it to a site. It's the election night reporting. So it's the way that the Secretary of State can gather all those results and have it in one place for all the citizens to see. So you're not having to go to each county website to tally up the results for each individual state candidate. So it's just one place where a citizen can go and look and see what the results are. So what we do is we upload those results there. We take our printed summary report that we printed from the election management system and we verify that nothing had changed before we actually hit publish and print for the citizens to view that information.
Are there any other security measures that are taken to ensure that the voting machines, the equipment itself, is secure and not tampered with?
Absolutely. So the laws have changed and we have added security in place. But before, you had to have unique usernames and passwords to get into that election management system itself. And the rules also state when you set up an election, because each election has its own setup, you have to assign usernames and passwords for that specific election too. So say that I was on there, we would use the admin password to get in, and then I'd have to create my own username and password to get into results and the election design equipment. So you have to have your own unique username and password to get into those two parts of that program. So it is very secure, and then that way there's accountability for what you do. Now in the law, we also have that, and then we have to use a sign-in sheet saying this is the date and time that I logged in, and this is why. And we do have seals that secure our server as well that go over the case. So if anybody was to try to remove that, we would be identified, because there is a chain of custody that also goes along with that. So every computer that is associated with the election management system now has a seal on it and a chain of custody as well.
Ms. Bance, let me ask you about the backup process for the election management system. How is that done?
So I am not an expert by any means on this, but what the Secretary of State's office sends us instructions on how to do this as well. It tells you what you need to back up so you have it as your election records. So what you do is there's a process within the election management system where you said create a project package backup. So it backs up everything that you have ran through for that election. So all of the ballot images, you're able to have those reports. So all of that information is put into like a zip file. So you have that for future reference. We also go onto the scanners or the tabulators themselves, and we take a backup of all the images that were stored on that specific scanner that ran through those ballots. So not only do you have those in your election project backup, but you also have those from the equipment itself that those ballots were ran through.
Do you also keep a hard copy record of ballots?
Oh, yes, we do. We keep the original ballots, and we have to store those and seal those with chain of custodies and keep those for 25 months.
Are those kept in the elections office?
They are not. We keep those in our office in the secured area until after the time period to request a recount, because we don't want to take them to our offsite storage and then have to bring them back. So they're stored under video surveillance in our office there. After that time period, they are transported over to our warehouse that is under video surveillance as well, and they're stored there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Spance, I'd like to ask you about a trusted build. Do you know what that is?
I do.
Would you describe it in layman's terms for the jury, please?
Good, it's layman's term because I don't know the technical terms. So yes, what it is it's just an update to our system. Everything's been tested, but if there's an advancements that we need, just like on your phones or anything like that, it's a process that is done to ensure that we have copies on our equipments to function that have been certified. So to keep things running properly and to keep up with new laws that may be implemented as well.
And how do you know whether the trusted build was effective and that the equipment will work properly?
We are required to do a test as soon as they are done installing the trusted build. So we run through all of our equipment to make sure it's functioning properly. So we have a test deck that we run through. We know the known results, make sure that it's sending information over to our adjudication stations. So we test to ensure that it's all functioning properly before the Secretary of State's office, well, in our county, I don't know what big counties do, but before the Secretary of State's office even leaves. And then additionally, after that test, before every election, we do a logic and accuracy test. So we have a bipartisan team that comes in that's appointed by the parties that actually have a set of ballots that they get to mark themselves and keep a tally. And they run that through our equipment to ensure that it is counting accurately. And then we also have a county test deck that we run through that has every possibility of every different scenario. And we run those through our equipment to make sure that all of the results are matching what it should. So everything is functioning properly and that it's tabulating correctly.
When you say you run through every scenario, can you just give the jury some examples of what different scenarios you see that may cause concern and you want to test in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the requirements is also we send a blank ballot through, because in the state of Colorado, it is required for us to have a bipartisan judge review blank ballots to ensure that the voter didn't just circle, the candidate's name on every single race. We try to do everything we can to give the voter the benefit of the doubt and count that ballot with the voter intent. So we have to put blank ballots through to ensure that the equipment is sending it over to the adjudication station where our bipartisan teams go. The same scenario if there are multiple candidates for a race and voter fills in 2 ovals. We need that to go to our bipartisan team to review as well, because the instructions on the top of the ballot says if you made a mistake, draw a single line through the candidate you don't want or the choice, and then mark the other oval. So our bipartisan teams need to look at that to ensure that they can mark the voter intent the way that the voter wanted. So those are some scenarios that are tested. Also, it's marking a choice for every single candidate to ensure that, you know, it might be functioning properly for this candidate, but is it functioning properly for that candidate? So we do a vote for at least one vote for every single candidate and run through all of those scenarios for every election.
Ms. Bantz, whose obligation is it to ensure the equipment is functioning properly?
I believe ultimately it's the clerk's responsibility, but we work as a team in the elections division, and with me overseeing it, it is important that I ensure that happens as well.
Excuse me for a minute. Ms. Bantz, did you become aware that there was going to be a trusted build in Mesa County in May of 2021?
I did.
How did you learn about that?
There was correspondence from the Secretary of State's office. It happens usually every odd year because that's when we have time to make changes or to dedicate that time to do all that testing and everything before an election takes place in November.
Your Honor, may I please approach the witness with Exhibit 13 that was admitted yesterday?
Yes.
Thank you. Bless you.
Ms. Bantz, have you had a chance to review Exhibit 13?
I have.
And is that familiar to you?
It is.
Would you describe what that is for the jury?
Absolutely. So this is an email from Jesse Romero with the Secretary of State's office. I had, per the direction of the clerk, Tina, reached out to the Dominion and asked if we were able to have other individuals on site for the trusted build. This email describes that these are the rules. This is what we're moving forward due to the circumstances of COVID, the heightened security with elections, that these are the rules outlined and the public won't be admitted to attend.
Do you know why the defendant wanted additional people in the trusted build?
What she had said was she wanted people there that understood computers more, I guess, what they were doing.
We didn't talk too much specifically about security measures of the actual trusted build. Are there some additional security measures that are applicable when a trusted build is happening, to your knowledge?
We really implement the same security measures that we do on a day-to-day. I know we go above and beyond, so nothing out of the ordinary would be different. You still have to sign in, you still have to have access. The folks from the Secretary of State's office have to provide background checks. The vendors have to have background checks done. And when we have the trusted build also, there's only that limited number of folks that are allowed to be in the room. So as far as added security measures, I think we go above and beyond what is required anyways.
We've talked a little bit about passwords. Are there special passwords or other access codes that are used during a trusted build?
So I know that the Secretary of State's office does have their own set of passwords, and then the county has their own set of passwords to get into that equipment.
Are those kept confidential?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Did you have any other communication with the defendant about who could be in the trusted build before the trusted build was scheduled, like sometime around April of 2021?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury about that, please?
So we had many conversations. Tina kept pushing the point or trying to get me to reach out to folks to get it allowed. Like I said, I reached out to Dominion and asked if other individuals would be in there. Correspondence with the Secretary of State's. I did additional emails per her directions to the Secretary of State's office to see if anybody additional would be allowed in there. And the answer was consistent, and it was no for these reasons.
Do you recall whether you were working on April 23rd, 2021?
I was.
And do you remember any particular thing happening that day at work?
Yes, there was a meeting that I was called into Tina's office. There were a number of individuals in there talking about theories and things that made me a little uncomfortable. I'm curious whenever other people bring up theories about how elections work or possibilities, I guess, because I feel very confident in our system and the securities we have in place, but it's good to listen to other people because if there is vulnerabilities, you want to address those, right? Just listening to questions and being able to adequately and confidently answer those questions feels good too, but there was conversation about individuals that were in that room. Tina invited them to come to the trusted build after it had already been discussed that it was not allowed.
Ms. Bantz, let me dive a little bit deeper into that meeting that happened on April 23rd, 2021. Who was present in that meeting from the elections office?
We kind of came in waves, but it was myself, Sandy, my back office manager, Stephanie, the front office manager at the time, Tina, and Belinda.
And do you know the names of the people who were invited in from the outside?
I do. Maurice was in there. Sharona was in there. Dr. Frank was in there. And I believe that was it.
Do you know who Maurice is?
He's an attorney, is my understanding. I didn't know him before I went into that room.
Do you know who Sharona is?
I do. I had met her on a number of occasions. She is good friends with Tina, and I had met her in that capacity.
And do you know who Dr. Frank is?
That was the first time that I had met him. I had heard about him in the past, so I don't personally know him. That was the first time I met him.
You mentioned there were some theories being discussed. Would you tell the jury in a little more detail about what the conversation was?
Yes. So just talks about voter fraud is what it is. The presentation that he is giving is that, there was fraud that took place and he can prove it. And just talking about voter registrations, and I talked about, inflation of voter registration. So I explained to him how we do our cleanup. There are certain things that are required by law, and I explained the extra things that we do here in Mesa County. So we get information from the Department of Health on a monthly basis, and we cancel those people that have passed. We get a list from the Department of Corrections, so we cancel those people that are incarcerated for felonies. We also get monthly the national change of address through the United States Postal Service. So if folks have moved somewhere else in the county, those other counties move their records to their new address, and we do the same. If they've moved, we've got notification that they moved out of state, we make them inactive, and then we send them notification saying, hey, we got this, you moved. So those are normal things that every county in the state does to clean up their records. In addition, we clean up by sending emails to folks. So if we've got mail back as undeliverable and I have an email address for you in your voter record, I'm going to send you an email saying, hey, we got this. Did you move? Update your record, withdraw. So we try to keep our rolls as clean as possible. So just going through that with him, because that was one of his big thing is the rolls are inflated and nobody cleans up their rolls and kind of thing like that. Then talking about, he was saying that there's transmitters within the equipment that let people know what the tallies stand at so they know to push more ballots through if they need for their certain candidate. But I talked about, well, each ballot is assigned to each individual. It has a specific tracking number or that is assigned to each ballot, not the voter ID. So say you're a voter and you move, so you need a new ballot, you get a new tracking number. That original one's voided, you get a new one, and that one is good. So our system can tell us if it'll flag us if something comes in that is not hasn't been issued to a person, or if it had been voided. So I went through the whole process and procedures of all the different securities and steps and processes that we have to ensure that the ballots that are coming back to us are from the voter that they were issued for to. So we do signature verification as well. So we compare to every single ballot that goes out there, or envelope, I should say. It's not the ballot. You review the signature that's on that envelope itself to what's in the voter record to ensure that the person that is submitting that ballot is the eligible elector. So we have bipartisan teams that work on this. So we ensure that everything that's coming back is counted just for eligible electors. If anything's questioned, we send out letters. They have to confirm with a copy of approved Colorado ID in order for that ballot to go through. So just talking through all of those processes and procedures that we do, corresponding to what his topics were that he was bringing up.
Ms. Bance, I believe you testified that during that April 23rd, 2021 meeting, the defendant was suggesting that she wanted to bring people in to the trusted build. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Would you describe for the jury a little more detail around how that conversation developed and what was being requested?
Yes. So from what I recall with the conversation, it was towards the corresponders or transmitters or whatever they were saying was in the equipment. And Tina asked, well, can we just open it up? And Dr. Frank says, no, it's illegal. You can't, because you're not allowed to, you signed a contract with Dominion, there's proprietary information. It's illegal. You can't open the equipment to see that. And talking about, Tina brought up the trusted build, and she invited them to come. And Dr. Frank said he wasn't the person to do that, but he had a team that would. And then I was dismissed from the room at that point in time.
Who dismissed you from the room?
Tina did.
Do you know why?
I take pride in what I do. I am very black and white when it comes to the law. So my thought is, because I wouldn't allow that. I know it wasn't allowed, and that's why I got dismissed.
Approximately how long were you in the meeting?
Oh, geez, I can't say for sure. It seemed like a very long meeting.
Okay. What did you do after you left the meeting?
I believe I just went back to my office. I don't recall specifically.
Your Honor, I would like to approach the witness with exhibit number 14, please.
And you've shown that to defense counsel?
Yes, I have.
All right.
No objection, stipulate the foundation.
Okay, thank you. Exhibit 14 is admitted.
Oh.
Ms. Bance, do you recognize what exhibit number 14 is?
I do.
Would you please describe what it is for the jury?
This is a meeting invite that was sent out to me and some other individuals to go to the presentation that Dr. Frank was doing the evening of April 23rd.
Did you attend the event?
I did. It was mandatory that I attended.
Who made it mandatory?
The email that was sent to me was from Belinda, and on the invite it said it was mandatory.
What was the topic of the event?
The topic was Dr. Frank talking about his theories with elections.
Were those theories consistent with the things he'd been espousing in the meeting previously that day?
Yes, it was.
How did you respond to hearing that?
It was very hard. I didn't like having to be there. I've been taught in the past by my leadership, great leadership, that we're supposed to be nonpartisan. So as far as showing our views one way or another, we deal with administering elections. So, it's it's good that we stay nonpartisan. I felt like by going to this event that people may think that I supported those theories, which I do not. And it made me very uncomfortable. I felt like it posed a threat to my integrity or the way that people would view, the way that I view about elections.
Ms. Spence, were you present for the May 2021 trusted build?
I was not.
Why were you not there?
I had prior vacation plans. I was out of state visiting family.
Were there any other things you did to prepare for the trusted build that we haven't already talked about?
I don't believe so, no.
We talked a little bit about video surveillance. After you got back from your vacation in May, did you have occasion to inquire about video surveillance?
I did. I had an employee that actually was injured in the back room, and when talking to our risk management person, they asked if there was video of that, and I said, yeah, I'll get it for you. I logged onto the system to view those cameras and grab those clips for him, and it was blank. It was a black screen. I couldn't see anything. I did reach out to our IT department inquiring about what's going on. I can't see anything. I need this information. And I was informed that they had been instructed to turn off the cameras.
Do you know who instructed the cameras be turned off?
Andrew told me that Belinda had instructed him to turn off the cameras.
Your Honor, I'm moving to admit exhibit number 15 and request permission to approach the witness.
Exhibit 15, okay.
No objection, stipulate the foundation.
All right, very well. It's admitted.
Thank you.
Ms. Spence, I just handed you exhibit number 15. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Would you tell the jury what that is, please?
This is the email correspondence that I had with Andrew from our IT department inquiring about the camera. I also brought up to Andrew that Lana had informed me when I first started here that it was more fiscally responsible just to keep the cameras running full time versus turning them on and off.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Miss Drake, that sounds like hearsay. I'm going to sustain the objection.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Your Honor. We can just not talk about what other people told you, but what you learned in the communication you had with IT generally.
Okay. That they had been instructed to turn them off by Belinda.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to move now to the Secretary of State's investigation in this case. Are you aware that there was an investigation initiated by the Secretary of State?
Yes, I became aware when I got a press release email.
Do you recall approximately when you received that?
Oh gosh, I don't know the date. I would have to look at the email to know for sure. Gosh, it's just slips my mind.
That's okay. It was sometime after the trusted build, though.
Yes, oh yes, months after.
And how did you respond when you saw the press release and learned that there was an investigation?
I immediately contacted Tina. We had a process in our office that we were told that if anything out of the ordinary happened, we were to call her right away, with her being the clerk. So I called her and I said, hey, I just got this press release. I just started the conversation. She says, I know, I'll handle it, and hung up on me.
What did you do next?
I printed out the email and went to talk to my team. I didn't know what was going on, but we are a very close group, wanted to let them know that we received this. I don't have any further information. And then Tina happened to pull up and walk through her office. I was showing her the email, and she's like, I know, I'll handle it, kind of thing, and then walked out.
Do you know where she went?
I don't.
Were you given any directions?
Just to send any calls or anything her direction.
What happened with the staff?
So we had conversations later that day, I believe it was, we were sent home to work from home.
Do you know why?
We were told just because of the threats and everything, it was for our safety.
Who gave that directive?
I was told by Belinda.
Do you know a person named Gerald Wood?
I have met him once or twice.
Did you ever work with him?
No,
To your knowledge, did he ever work in your office?
no.
That concludes my direct, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Case, whenever you're
Thank
ready.
you, Ron.
Oh, those are the originals.
Okay. May I put them here?
Sure.
Thanks. Actually, I don't want them here. It's okay.
I don't.
Morning, Ms. Bantz.
Good morning.
So I want to thank you for telling us about the vote counting process in the election. It was very clear. Starting in August 2021, you were interviewed by the police several times, actually 9 to be exact. Do you recall those interviews?
I do recall some of those interviews, yes.
Yeah. And you recall that you were interviewed 9 times between August 13 of 2021 and May 9th of 2022.
I couldn't say the exact numbers.
9 sound about right.
Possibly.
And you emailed the police 8 different times to send them documents or information. True?
I would have to review my emails to say the number for sure.
Does 8 sound about right?
Possibly.
And then you testified before the grand jury on January 20th of 2022.
Yes.
Now, given your cooperation with the police, is it fair to say you disliked taking direction from Clerk Peters?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Whatever.
You don't agree with her views?
What views are you speaking to?
Yeah, on what?
Her views that we need to ask questions about the election
What?
process.
Oh, stop.
No, I am
This is
very
dumb.
in tune with the processes of elections and I love what I do. So I am all about learning and asking questions about elections.
Now, you know what clear ballot is?
I do.
What is clear ballot?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
What is the relevance of this?
Because we're going to August of 2021.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, there was discussion between the clerk's office and the county commissioners about terminating the Dominion contract and replacing it with clear ballot.
Okay, and how is that relevant to the issues at hand?
It goes to the motivation of witnesses who will testify later.
The objection is sustained.
Are you familiar with canvassing?
I am.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance beyond the scope.
I don't know yet, so I'll overrule the objection for now.
Did you discuss canvassing with Sharona Bishop?
Objection, Your Honor, may we approach?
Okay, come on up. Excuse me.
Oh, man, cuts the sound off. All right, I just put some background in there, too. Thank you, Teresa, for that. Yeah, 10 counts. And let me come back here. Oh, shite. Okay, so Tina Peters arraigned on 10 felony misdemeanor charges in case alleging election equipment breach. Peters, represented by attorney Harvey Steinberg, pleaded not guilty. Peters has maintained her innocence from the start. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, she's a bitch. She did a big thing about running to Mike Lindell to be on the Shamposium with her stolen data. So you know what? She can fuck all the way off. All of her crimes are confirmed on live stream. I guess you're the world's dumbest criminal, Tina, you stupid bitch. 3 counts of attempting to influence a public servant, conspiracy to commit criminal impersonation, a second conspiracy charge that includes cause liability, identity theft, first-degree official misconduct, violation of duty and failure to comply with the requirements of the Secretary of State. The first 6 are felonies, the last 4 are misdemeanors. And an affidavit filed in July by the 21st Judicial District of the arrest of former Mesa County Elections Manager Sandra Brown shows how the alleged election security breach took place in May 2021, which we've been hearing about. But this article also lays it out pretty nicely. See, the thing is you have to watch the Shamposium, which I have quite a few clips of, actually. So maybe at one point we'll do a little Tina Peters show, because I know all about Tina Peters. So, and Doug Frank. Notice the name Doug Frank? I know I don't have my light on. Sorry, I just didn't bother to do all the stuff. But so sorry, it's dark. But yeah, do you remember the Doug Frank's name coming up? You want to know why? Well, you don't have to watch the Shamposium, but I'm telling you right now, Tina Peters basically took the data that they just took during this trusted build when she told everybody to leave the room. Tina Peters took all that data, brought it up to wherever Mike Lindell's Shamposium was. I think that one was in South Dakota. I don't really remember. But anyway, brought it up there, and then brought Ron Watkins, the incel of all incels, 4chan bro, probably an alleged purveyor, or at least provider, platformer of child pornography. So Tina Peters and Ron Watkins then shared her data, which is our data, on the fucking Shamposium stage. So yeah, all of her stolen material. You would see the stolen material if you watch the Shamposium, because it was right there on screen. Now, granted, they had some technical difficulties, but nonetheless, there was data on that screen. I have the tape. I have the roll tape. Roll tape. I knew that Shamposium was going to be important. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I didn't really know it was going to be important, but Code Monkey. Yep, Code Monkey Z. Ron Watkins. Who then ran for state legislature in Arizona, because he never lived there. Wasn't he living in like Southeast Asia or somewhere for a while he was fucking around with 4chan and Fred Brennan, and we all know about Fred Brennan. And who's friends with Fred Brennan, and who simps for Fred Brennan. That'd be that situation I was referring to where there's basically not 2 sides to the story. There's fucking just one side to the story. That'd be that one. House rep, that's right. So don't tell me about, the simps of Fred Brennan and his ilk, just like Ron Watkins. Corrupt, fake. Disingenuous fucks. Darvo fucks. Fuck them. Fuck everybody. I'm so mad. All the election fuckery by these people across the swing states has me beyond livid. Yes, I agree with that. And let me go back to Doug Frank. So Doug Frank has been in this story, and I'm really, really happy to hear his name being bantered about, because I would really like some repercussions for Doug Frank, who has pushed this bullshit irregularities and fraud theories across the United States, is continuing to do it today, is probably in some fucking VFW lodge somewhere or some Grange in the middle of nowhere, telling a bunch of people who are going to make donations to him because he's such a nice man in a bow tie. Ugh. And he's lying about and using census data and these stupid, like, oh my God, just mathematically stupid arguments that somehow the election had fraud. Well, it didn't. So I'm glad to hear his name coming on, because frankly, I think we need to pay more attention to people like him who are continuing to sow distrust in the election system. I mean, if you listen to this young woman talking about the way
All right,
that,
thank you, everyone. The objection is sustained.
you know, like, that's fucking amazing. Okay, I'm done.
You know Sharona Bishop because she came to you frequently at the clerk's office?
No, she was friends with Tina, so she came to have lunch with Tina and stuff like that. That's how I was introduced to her.
Now, do you know the difference between
Sharona
a
is another
statute
one. She's a Lindell
that's
operative.
promulgated by the legislature of the state of Colorado and signed by the governor, so that's the law, the statute, and a rule published by the Secretary of State?
I do.
And do you know the difference between a law, a rule, and an email?
Yes.
So the email that you got from Jesse Romero, Exhibit 16, is not a law or a rule, true?
I would have to look at it and review it to see exactly what it said.
Do you have Exhibit 16 in
I
front of you?
do. I do.
Sure.
I think. I may be lying. Yes, I do. Exhibit 16 is with our IT department.
I'm sorry.
Another amazing MAGA lawyer. I wonder, Tina can probably no longer count on the generosity of Mike Lindell, because that's who was keeping her safe, quote unquote, when she was on the run from her charges. He was moving her from state to state, which is an interesting accessory to a crime, I think. I don't know.
I'm
I
sorry, I
could be
can't
wrong.
find the number, but you have in front of you the exhibit where Jesse Romero, let me start over. You sent
Yeah.
an email to Jesse Romero asking Romero if members of the public could attend the trusted build. True?
I don't believe I emailed Jesse, no.
Well,
He responded to a question that I posed to somebody else.
all right. So you asked somebody in the Secretary of State's office?
I did not.
All right. You asked Dominion?
I did.
All right. So and who did you talk to there?
Our project success manager.
Right. That would be David Stahl. True?
Yes.
So you asked David Stahl if Mesa County could bring in members of the public to the trusted build. True?
Yes.
And David Stahl was the Dominion representative for Mesa County. He's the person who helped with technical issues if they arose.
You're
True?
welcome.
He's one. Yes.
And you did not hear back from David Stahl when you asked him if members of the public
exactly,
could be
Teresa.
present at the trusted build. True?
He said that wasn't in his purview of support. So, no, I didn't hear back from David.
Right. Well, he's going to testify. And is it true that he said to you that he had no objection, but he'd have to ask the Secretary of State?
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
So then, instead of hearing back from Mr. Stahl, you heard back from Mr. Romero. True?
Yeah, true.
And Mr. Romero sent you an email saying the public cannot be present at the trusted build.
Correct.
True?
They're not smart criminals,
Now-
Max. They're not smart criminals.
You mentioned that Ms. Peters wanted permission for other people to attend the trusted build because she wanted somebody who knew computers to be present. True?
True.
And you said in your direct testimony that Clerk Peters kept you reaching out to see if you could get other people into the trusted build.
Yes.
Because Clerk Peters told you that she was not expert enough to understand exactly
Sounds
what
like
would
Peter
happen
Navarro.
to the county computers during the trusted build.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
True?
I'm sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, Clerk Peters said to Ms. Bantz, I think that's the response. It's a statement by the defendant.
Sure, I need to hear the whole question, though. I'm sorry, I was interrupted. When Ms. Drake stood up, I didn't catch the rest
He
of it. I
doesn't
got
remember
distracted,
it.
So
Okay.
I haven't made my ruling yet. I just need to hear the question.
All right. Question. Clerk Peters told you that she was not expert enough to understand what was happening in the trusted build, and she wanted an expert present, somebody who could tell her exactly what happened during the trusted build to the county computers that she was responsible for.
Okay, you same objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
The objection's overruled. It was brought in on direct.
Yes.
Now, you talked about, in response to a question from the government, you said, the equipment is not connected to the internet.
That's what she's been
True.
raising money,
And you
Scott.
added,
Like
I'm
a,
not an expert.
like a motherfucker.
Correct.
So you're not competent to know if the equipment's connected to the internet or not. True?
No, that is incorrect.
Well, are you an expert in computers?
I am not.
All right. Do you rely on experts for information about computers?
I do.
And are the experts that you rely on from the Office of the Secretary of State?
Objection, Your Honor. It's beyond the scope, relevance.
She also is
not
on
relevant.
Lindell
System.
Network a lot. So she's got a lot of FaceTime with MAGA donors, MAGA baby donors. And Sharona is her friend,
So,
and Sharona has a show
does
on
the
Lindell
IT
Network
department
too. Sharona's
have
America's mom
computer
or something like
experts?
that. I don't know. I don't want her to be my mom. She's fucking crazy.
I would think so.
Yes. And isn't it true that Clerk Peters asked the IT department to provide a computer expert to observe the trusted build?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge beyond the scope.
Sustained.
Do you know whether Clerk Peters asked the IT department to provide a
They
computer
were just looking
expert
for a way to get
observe
inside the
trusted build?
machine, Max.
I believe she did.
Tina was used to get inside a Dominion machine.
Do you know that the IT department refused to provide a computer expert to observe the trusted build?
I don't have the knowledge of the answer.
Okay, Matlock, where are we going
So
with this?
going back now to the
Okay.
email
Oof,
from
we're back.
Mr. Romero, where he responded to the request that you made to Mr. Stahl to have the public present at the trusted build. What was Mr. Romero's answer in that email?
From what I recall in the email is no, the public is not allowed. It's, it listed out all of the requirements and all of the rules for the trusted build, who was allowed, the number of people that were allowed. All that information was contained in that email.
Yes, you brought up the term rules. If you could look at the email, did Mr. Romero refer to any published rule of the Secretary of State in that email?
Let me try to find which exhibit it was since it's not 16.
Since you got it wrong, let me try and find it for you, old man.
There is no reference to any rule in here.
Right. And do you know of any published rule of the Secretary of State that was in effect in May of 2021 that prevented the public from watching the trusted build?
Well, the
Scott.
law
Thank
goes
you.
into detail of what has to be public and what doesn't. So it doesn't specifically say one way or the other in the law about risk limiting audit, like logic and accuracy test. It does.
Right. So there was no state statute or Secretary of State rule that prevented the public from watching the trusted build. True?
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of personal knowledge requires an expert opinion beyond the scope.
It's been asked and answered.
Can we talk about the cameras?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Oh, I fucking hate these dudes. Man,
In 2021, that's the period of time
cheeky.
we're talking about in this case, right? 2021. Not how the law changed after, but 2021. Right?
Yes.
In 2021, the
I'd be
Secretary
like,
of State
why are you giving
rule
me such attitude?
said that cameras
Dude,
in the
not my
election department had to be on for 60 days before an election and 30 days after an election. True?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Now, the trusted build took place May 25th. True?
I believe that was the date. Yes.
And in April, there was a municipal election. True?
That is correct. Yes.
And the date of that election was April the 6th. True?
Yes, my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
So if we count 30 days after the election, we end up at May 6th. True?
Just to speak to that, municipal law is different than county law. We follow Title I and they follow a different title. So the requirements are different for municipal law versus a county ran election.
Sure. My question is May the 6th the 30th day after the election on April 6th?
I believe
don't know.
yes.
Google
Right.
it.
So, according to the law, the cameras could have been turned off May the 7th. True?
I'd have to look at municipal law and see what is required for that, because like I said, the law is different for municipal elections versus the county ran elections.
Are you aware of any law or Secretary of State rule that was in effect on May the 25th, 2021, that required the cameras in the election department to be on?
No, it was just the policy of Mesa County to keep them running 24/7.
But that's a policy.
So
There's
it was not a crime
but
to
it was a
turn off the
policy
cameras.
violation.
I don't believe so.
Although you definitely, how does she know what the crime is? Where's the objection?
Now, you brought up,
She's not a fucking lawyer.
Logic and
not an-
accuracy
Oh my
testing,
God.
Yes.
and you mentioned that, go ahead, help yourself.
Oh, no, you're fine. I can still listen and
All
take
right.
a drink. Thank you.
Okay. You mentioned that logic and accuracy testing is something that's done before the election, true?
Yes.
And the county actually has to post a notice on the door of the
I think that must have
clerk
been
building
outside.
announcing, we're gonna do the logic and accuracy test on this date, and the public has a right to be present, true?
Yeah, the law states that we must post 7 days prior. It doesn't specifically say the door or anything, but yes, it's posted 7 days prior.
Right, and then members of the public are allowed to come in and watch the logic and accuracy test be performed on the county voting system, true?
True.
Now, do they have to have a key card to get into the room where you're gonna do the logic and accuracy test?
They are not issued a key card, but the requirements still stand by law that they do have to sign in on that paper log stating their name, the date they entered, and the time, including AM and PM.
Okay, so there's a record kept of who was present for the logic and accuracy test.
Yes, there is a record kept of everybody that enters that room. It is required by law.
Right. And the public, though, is allowed to watch what happens in the logic and accuracy test.
They are.
Yes. And in the logic and accuracy test, test ballots are fed into the scanners, and then it's determined, because you already know the outcome from the test ballot stack, and then you see if the scanner counts the votes correctly. True?
That is accurate for the county test deck, yes.
And then a couple of the ballots are mismarked during the logic and accuracy test, and you see if the computer system sends those ballots to the adjudication module in the computer. True?
Yes.
And then you
Why does he keep
check to
standing
see
close
if
to
the
the
election
prosecutor?
management server
Why is
collected
he
all the
standing right
information
basically on top
from
of her?
the scanners that actually count the votes and from the adjudication module.
God.
And if the election results as shown on the election management server, if those results are correct. True?
We run a summary report and print that out so that our bipartisan teams can review that to their test decks that they marked in their tally results.
Now, do you think that
Yeah, MAGA
transparency
weird.
in the election system is a good thing?
Absolutely.
And that's why you welcome the public to the logic and accuracy test.
We welcome the public to that. We do additional tours. I love to talk about elections, so a lot of people regret it when they ask me because I love to talk about it and I go into depth about our processes and procedures.
True, though. I mean, and
So the
can
problem
we get
with
a
having the
tailor on
public
those trousers
in
ASAP?
the
Can we get a tailor in here
trusted
just to
bill
hem it?
was
Just give
simply
us,
that
give us a
Mr.
little bit of a
Romero
hem.
said, no, we're not going
So
to
we don't
do
have
it
droopy drawers?
if you have the public there. True?
I don't think so. It's a whole different process. You're getting into
Really,
the
this is
computer
a fashion
system. You're
network.
adding,
I mean, if you think about
different
it,
software
we
on
don't do
there. So it's not
politics
a
or
testing
comedy
of the
or anything. We just do
equipment.
fashion.
It's, you're doing a different process.
Right. But we've already established, well, let's establish it, my error. So, there was no rule or law that prevented the public from observing the trusted build. True?
There was none that provided that we must either.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about crimes. That is what is forbidden, right?
Yes.
Having the public present at the trusted build was not forbidden by rule or statute. True?
Okay.
You're correct.
I'm going to tell my wife.
Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, I hate. I tell you, I just. This is Tina Peters. This is
And
the
then
Tina
after
Peters
the
trial.
election, go ahead.
Oh, you're fine. I can listen and drink at the same time. Sorry, I don't want to slow things down.
After the election, there is a risk limiting audit,
Yes.
and that's to make sure that the voting system counted the ballots that went through the system correctly.
That's correct.
And what you do is you take a very small sample of the ballots that were cast, which you take a very small sample of the ballots that were cast, true?
It's a statistical formula, and it's to get that risk limit. So it depends. Depends on how close the race was, how many votes were cast. So it's all based on that. So the numbers vary.
Right. So it's not all the ballots that were cast that are audited. It's just a percentage of the ballots that were cast.
Correct.
And what happens in the risk limiting audit is that members of both political parties actually see those ballots, right?
The
They're
paper
allowed
ballots?
to see the ballots and how they were marked, correct?
Yes.
And in their own handwriting, they tally up how many votes were cast for this candidate or that candidate. True?
No, that's false.
Okay, where did I go wrong?
There's no hand tally with the risk limiting audit.
I see. So is there a predetermined result that, for those ballots that the county has been made aware of?
No.
All right, I'm sorry, can you explain this to us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Thank
the
you.
risk limiting audit, what you do is you are provided with your batches, ballots, what ballot number you're supposed to go to in that batch. So there's a list provided, and you have to pull out those individual ballots from their sealed boxes. And the bipartisan team actually enters that information in, and it's compared against the cast vote record. So the record that is produced from the election management system saying this is what it read. So they're taking the paper ballot and they're comparing it to what the
What
machine
ass?
said that it read, or how it counted that ballot.
All right, now, are private citizens allowed to participate in the risk limiting audit?
They could.
So the public's not prohibited from seeing how the votes were counted in the risk limiting audit?
No.
And Mr. Romero's never said, well, you can't have members of the public for the risk limiting audit, true?
Not to me.
Now, is it true that one of the responsibilities of the designated election officer for the county is to
Exactly,
protect the
Lee.
computer voting system so
That's right.
that audits
IP.
can be
Dominion
performed?
has IP, and they
Is
would
that
like to
correct?
protect it. It's
I
proprietary.
don't think I understand your question.
Sure. The designated election officer for Mesa County is the elected
The lesson
clerk
with Tina
and
Peters
recorder.
is just because you can doesn't
Yes.
mean you should.
And in May of 2021, Tina Peters was the elected clerk and recorder. True?
True.
And one of her responsibilities was to protect the computer voting system so that audits could be performed. True?
What do you mean by audits?
You don't know what an audit is?
Well, we do the risk limiting audit.
Oh, mister, I would jump across
But I don't know
that
what you mean by
fucking
protecting.
desk and
You don't know
Throat
what it
punch
is
you.
to protect a voting system?
Well, are you talking about to ensure that our security procedures are in place?
Yes.
Yes, then yes.
Yeah.
I like this girl. This woman. Sorry, didn't mean to call her a girl. She's smart.
Now, is it true that in 2021, some constituents, like Commissioner Cody Davis, actually asked the clerk's office to do an audit of the 2020 election?
Objection, hearsay relevance beyond the scope.
It's not hearsay, but it isn't relevant, so it's sustained on that ground.
Is it true that Clerk Peters was concerned that during the trusted build, Secretary of State personnel might erase the QR code from the system that was necessary to conduct an audit?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
If you know, you know. Overruled.
No.
Clerk Peters never talked to you about the QR code?
No.
She never discussed that at the meeting on April 23rd, 2021?
Not that I recall, no.
Were you present for the entire meeting?
I was not.
So when you were talking about the logic and accuracy test and the scanners in particular, all the scanners show you is how many ballots went through, true?
Yes. On that screen, I shouldn't say yes, that's not all that it shows you, but in that module, it'll tell you what batch number you're on, how many ballots have been scanned through that batch, what batch you're on. It also reads out the rate of speed that those ballots are actually going through. So there's a lot of information that actually is shown on that screen.
Does it tell you who's winning and who's losing?
No.
You're not aware that the scanners can do that?
Those scanners cannot do that, no.
Are you certain of that?
For my knowledge, no, it cannot.
Have you ever asked David Stahl, hey, can the scanner show us who's winning and who's losing?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
I don't think that question was asked and answered.
No, I've never asked David that question.
I don't mean to be a hater, but looks like a bunch of little Tina Peters in the room with her,
Your Honor,
doesn't it?
would this
Doesn't
be a
it
good time
all
for a
look like
break?
a
I'm
bunch of
almost
Tina
done.
Peters?
Well, why don't we finish? If we can finish, that's the best time to take
Well,
a break.
A lot of mini
So that way we can get
mini
the witness on
Tinas.
their way and not interrupt. But
Sure.
if you need a break, we can take a break, of course.
Well, I do need a break, that's why I asked.
Well, that's not what you asked me. So we'll go ahead and take a break. It's 10:22. We'll come back at about 10:37, about 15 minutes or so. Please keep in mind the admonishment I've given
15
you.
minutes.
All rise for the jury.
15
Thank you.
minutes. Oh, I gotta pee real bad. Yeah, everybody get out of my way. I gotta get to that ladies' room. Get out of my way.
Please stand for the jury.
That woman's, she was sneezing. I thought she was laughing. Oh, that woman fucking hightailed it out of that room. That woman ran like a motherfucker. Holy fuck, man.
Go and take a seat, everyone. Thank
Go,
you.
go, Gadget.
Anything we need to address before we step out? Ms. Drake?
Yeah, only one logistical question, Your Honor.
No! Let us hear it. This is the good part. Oh, damn it. It was the little well, she looks like Tina Peters because they all look like Tina Peters. This little old lady was the one sitting right here in front of the bailiff. She was like on the end of the row, end of the pew. She was on the end of the pew right here. Anyway, she ran like a motherfucker, man. Holy shit. Wowie. Look at, they all look like Tina. They're like different states of Tina. Those are future Tinas right there. That's a past Tina. That's a future Tina. He needs a break. It's not going so. Ah! Oh my god. There she is. There. Oh god, that guy. I can't remember his name, but I can't stand him. The guy in the white suit. Who wears a fucking white suit? I know all the whiteheads. All the whiteheads. All the white dudes carry the news. Boogaloo dudes carry the news. Oh, and look, it's Artie Johnson or somebody. And there's like every chud on the planet. There's a long-haired version of Tina. There's a short, long-haired version of Woman, cut your fucking hair. And there's another Tina right there in the green. God damn, with the snakeskin purse. Girl, get down. And snakeskin capris. Get out of here. Get out of town. You're rocking those leggings, girl. You are rocking those leggings. And that's a brown-haired Tina right there. Okay, come on now. Were you kissing her? Stop kissing her in the courtroom. How disgusting. Get a hold of yourselves. I hope she made it. I hope she did too, and I hope no one was in her way, because she was gonna Granny was gonna bulldoze her way through that. She was gonna refrigerator, what's that guy, refrigerator, whatever his name was. What was his name? Yeah, I know. You're looking good in your sparkly top. Do a little French tuck though, Granny. Come on. Learn the French tuck. Come on, baby. And I don't know what's going on with those shorts, but I mean, they're okay. I would wear, I think I have a pair of shorts like that. Actually. Perry. Oh, is that who it is? Perry? I'm going to pee my pants. Oh, Refrigerator Perry. Yeah. That's who I meant. She was like running. She was like, get out of my way. I'm gonna pee my pants. I'm gonna pee my jockeys. My jockeys. My Spanx. No, she's not wearing Spanx. And that guy's that actor from Arrested Development, right? Who's that guy from Arrested Development? Yeah, the linesman who ran the whole field. He was amazing. He was so awesome. Yeah, well, at least it'll be easy to pick him out in a crowd. You know what I mean? Like at least it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to pick him out. It's pretty easy to pick him out of a crowd. Hey, baby. Oh, baby. How you doing? Oh, Tina 1 is back. She made quick work of that. She basically saw the line and went, Carl Weathers, that's right, Arrested Development. So what is it we're watching? I was seriously wrapped by a chorus line. Oren, this is the trial of Tina Peters, who I hopefully maybe I'll go back and pin that link that has the background. Hold on, let me find that. And Tina Peters is charged with 10 counts, 6 felonies, 4 misdemeanors, basically with stealing data. Stealing data from Mesa County, Colorado, where she was the county clerk, and now she's in trouble and facing those felonies and misdemeanors because she basically let Doug Frank and other people into the room. They took the voter data off of Mesa County, and Mike Lindell used it in his symposium. So it was actually data that was then shown on screens, and it even involved Ron Watkins, Code Monkey Z. I mean, it was a cast of characters, and that's putting it mildly. But let me go ahead and pin that link because there's a good article that has a list of all the felonies and all the shit, all the details. So I'll pin that. Thank you. Good call. That's a good call. Good call. Yeah. That's a great call. You're doing a great call. Let me find that freaking little thing. Oh shit, man. I don't think I know where it is. Do 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 do. You're welcome. Oh, dinga donga. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Okay, wait. What was I doing? I was looking on. My big take is Conan Hayes is an informant. Is Oh, I didn't get that one yet. I have to catch up on this one because frankly, I remember Tina Peters. I remember her stuff at the Symposium, and I hate her. But and Sharona Bishop too is another one who's probably there. I wonder if she's there. That would be curious. Anyway, just from I remember her really from the 2021 Lindell days, and then I kind of lost track of the indictment, so I need to catch up on the indictment. Basically, Tina Peters. I thought somehow her trial was moved to September, but I didn't realize it was now. I'm really grateful. Can't remember who told me. I will. I can't remember who told me that this was happening today. God damn it! Was it Paul or was it Scott or I don't remember. Tina Peters, Colorado. Going to Colorado. Rocky Mountain High in the Colorado. Ooh. God damn it. It's not what I want. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Where is it? Colorado. I guess this Al side set again in criminal trial. 2 weeks ago. Wait, 1 day ago. Here we go. I wonder if it lets you read this. Okay, it looks like it does. It doesn't look like there's a paywall to this one. All right, hold on. Let me do this one. This is a Denver Post article, which does not seem to be paywalled. So we'll see. Dear, checking my DMs. I'm checking my DMs. I'm going to pin that message up at the top, which is annoying. I'm sorry about pin messages. I know sometimes those can be really annoying. And let me check my DMs. Let me check my DMs. Let me check my DMs. Oh, well, there's the thing. Meow, 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 meow. Whoa, dude. Ah, ah. Stop staring inside the camera. It's terrible. Nobody wants you to do that. All right, let me show you what our friend and amazing person Teresa shared something with us. Yes, TV. Can you believe the length they went to in order to cheat? I continue to be amazed that it seems to go untested. That's what I can't believe. I cannot believe it. Hold on, let me show you. Do 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 do. Bow, ba-chow, ba-chow. Bow. Whoops. God danga binga. Oh, that's not it. What? That's not. Wait, what? Is that? Oh, that's our. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's just so many things going on here. I can't even believe it. Stop it. All right, I need you guys. Okay. I'm just going to do this for a minute. All right, so this is a very big deal. A Musk election interference effort that tricks people in swing states into thinking they've registered to vote. Read and share. Well, I will. The website says it will help the viewer register to vote, but once a user clicks register to vote, the experience he or she will have can be very different depending on where they live. If a user lives in a state that is not considered competitive in the presidential election, like California or Wyoming, they'll be prompted to enter their email address and zip code and then directed quickly to a voter registration page for their state or back to the original sign-up section. But for users who enter a zip code that indicates they live in a battleground state like Pennsylvania or Georgia, the process is very different. Rather than be directed to their state's voter reg page, they are instead directed to a highly detailed personal information form, prompted to enter their address, cell phone number, and age. If they agree to submit all of that, the system still does not steer them to a voter registration page. Instead, it shows them a thank you page. So that person who wanted help registering to vote, in the end, they got no help at all registering, but they did hand over priceless personal data to a political operation. Elon Musk has created a PAC collecting voter data from those living in key states through an online register to vote form that does not directly register people to vote. So instead of donating 45 million, this is outspoken. So instead of donating 45 million a month to Trump, Elon's now using his PAC to deceive voters into giving up all their info. And a recent FEC opinion shows America PAC to coordinate its canvassing activities with the Trump campaign, meaning, among other things, that that the Trump campaign may provide America PAC with the literature and scripts to make sure their efforts are consistent with the door knocking. Wow. It's a CNBC article. Sorry, how Elon Musk is using voter data to help. Oh, wow. Wow. Fuck. I'm not, I don't even know what to say. I really don't. I'm not even sure what to say. I'm not even sure. I don't know what to say. I don't know where we are right now. I'm just not sure where we are right now. I'm really not. I'm really not. I don't understand it. I'm really sorry. It does sound like a Manafort. It does sound like a Manafort gig, doesn't it? And someone stopped the camera from recording in the room. I know. She's terrible. So if I remember correctly, we saw surveillance camera video of them entering the clerk's office on a weekend. Yeah, I think it was there was something. I'm sure I defer to this setting to get to actual facts, because my memory of it is actually pretty hazy, so of her particular steps that she took. But I know there was an effort to get people in there during a time when it was not the official time or something, and they basically copied the data. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I'm kind of a little bit taken aback by the continual flood of chicanery, shenanigans, that all of that these folks are willing to go to cover for a big lie, like literally, what does Tina Peters' future depend on? Trump. What does she actually gain out of this? I mean, I think she probably was like a true believer who thought she was going to do something really heroic, right? And it turns out that it wasn't, whatever she was told by Doug Frank and his supermoms wasn't true. So, but she really doubled and tripled and quadrupled down at certain points over the last few years about, election interference when she doesn't know anything about computers, she says. So how does she know? And also wanted to bring up the lack of disbarment for Jeffrey Clark in D.C. He basically got 2 years of a suspended. He can't practice law for 2 years, I think, is what it is. So a suspension, I guess. It's okay. He'll do his book tour. He's already making the rounds on Rumble, so don't worry about Jeff Clark. He will be able to buy those boxers. He will keep himself in clean boxers until he can get back to lawyering. But so when we watched the disbarment hearing in DC of what's his name? Jeff Clark. I remember remarking multiple times that even though I have a real crush on Phil Hamilton Fox of the DC Board of Professional Responsibility, I have not made that a secret. It is well known how I lust after him and his brain. But I was disappointed in the proceedings that dealt with Jeffrey Clark's disbarment. And I thought they didn't have a lot of energy to really demonstrate just how manipulative and corrupt his actions were, which I think bear on his professional responsibility as a lawyer. But what am I? I don't know. I'm not part of that. So anyway, so I was personally disappointed in Fox's performance. Sorry, Phil, I love you. Hamilton, however you want to refer to yourself. And but at the end of the day, it was a disappointment. And guess what? We got the result we got the grade we worked for, right? A C. Sorry, not sorry. I was disappointed. But anyway, to that point, I guess what I'm saying is these types of arguments. Oh, and Jeffrey Clark's situation is made worse by the fact that the immunity case of all things at SCOTUS talked about the part of the indictment where no conversations with Department of Justice employees could be used against Trump or something of that nature. Well, that's Jeffrey Clark. So the SCOTUS ruling also probably didn't help hold Jeffrey Clark to some level of ethical behavior. I don't know. I mean, he was held to a level of ethical behavior. I'm not saying there was no consequence, but it was what one might consider it a mild consequence, if one was so inclined. Oh, here comes the judge to take us away. Take us away. You literally have a high school diploma. I can see.
Case,
yeah.
are you ready
Hello.
for the jury?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's go ahead and bring him in.
So that's my point, okay? Like, I see where some of this stuff is getting diluted because of, well, the law at that time was that it didn't not say you couldn't have people. You know what I mean? That's what this lawyer is arguing. Well, it did not say you couldn't have this, that, and the other thing. Well, it did not say you couldn't bring a thumb drive into, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all, it's booty pop. They really do. I mean, and Tina is very adamant that she is like, the hero in this situation. And I don't know what money is, although she claims she knows all about the fraud, but she can't really explain to you what a computer does or how it works. So I don't know how she gets to the point where it's fraud. And I need Doug Frank, held accountable for defrauding the voters of the United States by causing
Do you want to take a
election
seat, everyone? Thank you.
mistrust in election systems and
Okay,
and
we're
people.
back on the record. Jury
This is the one that was
present.
running.
We were in the midst of
This
Ms.
is
Casey's
Granny.
cross-examination of Ms.
Granny.
Vance. Ms.
She
Vance,
was
I'll remind you you're still in the
running.
room.
She
Go ahead,
knocked
Mr.
everybody over. She
Thank
maybe
you, Your
wants
Honor.
to
May I
take it
approach
easy
the
on that
witness,
water
please?
bottle.
With an exhibit.
Sure, have you shown it to counsel?
Is this a copy?
Yes, it is.
Yes, you may approach.
Thank you.
AKA Tina Peters, number 7. Granny, I'd ease up on the water or the vodka or whatever's in that can, all right? Your Stanley, your lead-filled Stanley, I'd be careful with that.
You mentioned in your direct examination that the county had a contract with Dominion Voting Systems.
That is correct.
And as the clerk, do you, or as the elections, is it manager, elections manager?
I'm the director of elections.
Director of elections, I apologize. As the director of elections, do you have occasion to refer to that contract?
There would be some times when I would look back at the contract, yes.
Sure. And I've put before you Defense Exhibit JJ number 8.
Okay.
Do you have that in front of you?
Yes, I do.
And is that a copy of the Mesa County contract with Dominion Voting Systems
It
that
appears.
was in effect on May the 25th, 2021?
It appears to be, yes.
And the parties to the contract are Mesa County,
Another crackerjack
And-
job by
Dominion Voting Systems, Inc., right? That is on page 12
BU School of Law.
Exhibit JJ8.
Sorry. That is what is on page 12, yes.
Now,
got some fancy
do you
camera
see
angles
a
now.
signature block on there for the Colorado Secretary of State?
I do not.
So, as far as you know, the Secretary of State is not a party to this contract, true?
I don't see them on here.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Your Honor, we offer Defense Exhibit JJ8.
Ms. Drake?
Your Honor, I don't think it's been authenticated, and I'm not sure this witness can authenticate it.
Is that your only objection?
Yes.
Would you like to, authentication is a low bar. The witness has identified it as the contract between Dominion and
Well, is she the accounts
Mesa
payable
County. She's
representative?
identified that the contract is something that she had sometimes referenced in the past, so she's familiar with it to some degree, given the low bar for authentication being met. I will admit it. So JJ8 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Mhm. Yes, it is.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure.
Damn. I want this woman running my election. I'll tell you that right now. Oh, okay. She just lost me at the water can, but that's a flag code violation, I think. Hey, lady, you got a flag code violation on your Stanley. By the way, I heard Stanley things have lead in them. Is that true? Because don't buy them. I have a Yeti thing. I think that one's okay. But don't buy. I think you're not supposed to buy Stanley because I think they have lead in them. I don't know that, but someone could probably correct me if I'm wrong. But that's like your PSA for the break, for the court break. Looks like Florida's going to get walloped by a storm. Oh my God, really? Which one? Is it named or is it unnamed? Is it unnamed storm? Okay, here we go. Here we go. We're back. We're back in Jurassic Park. Let's go back.
Can you hand me that exhibit, please?
Yes.
Hand me that exhibit. I wanna ask a question. Now, what's going on? What's going on? Where's everybody going?
You can continue.
Jay has
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeti,
So we're
and I
done
have
with that. You
Contigo.
can set
There you
it
go.
aside.
There you go. I haven't heard anything bad about those. I haven't heard anything bad. It is important beverage information. I care about your safety.
So, Clerk and Recorder
I don't want you
Peters
to
had the authority to give
drink lead.
access to anyone she wanted in her building, true?
I am not aware if that's
Thank
true
you
or
for
not.
sharing it. I really appreciate that.
You mentioned key cards.
Yes.
Yeah, what's a key card?
So what the key card is, it's a plastic badge that is associated with your name. I think it has your position tied to it as well. So it grants you access to the specific locations that you're authorized to be in within the county.
Sure. So, kind of like my hotel room key, right? If I want to get in the room, I just put this card up to the, whatever it is, and the door will open?
Kind of, yes.
Now, have you ever loaned a hotel room key to a family member or somebody you trusted?
Objection relevant.
Okay, yeah. I would have objected to the first question.
What's the relevance?
Why is she an
The
expert on
use of
key
the
cards?
card.
I understand that is what the question is, but as it relates to the charges, I'm going to sustain the objection.
Now, you showed us, or the government had you look at a picture of a sign that was outside the area where votes are cast, right?
That is incorrect.
Where is that sign?
That sign is posted in the ballot processing location, and we did have them in all of our secure areas.
Right. So, you said that sign was for watchers.
And
that-
our election judges as well.
Right.
Yes, it's not
Okay.
allowed.
Can you explain to the jury, please, what a watcher is?
Yes, absolutely. So what a watcher is, it depends on the type of election, who is eligible or allowed to appoint folks to come in and observe the processing of elections. So they're there just to watch. They can ask one designated person
She doesn't know her
questions, but they're
shit,
not allowed to
though.
talk to
So
any of our
I
election
still would want
judges
her-
or
despite
anybody
her
else that's in there.
water
They're not there to disrupt. They're
canister.
strictly there to watch the process.
Or, Tito's. I don't know what she's got.
Is
in
a
there.
watcher allowed to talk to a voter?
I would want her
No.
to run our election. She
Is
seems
a
pretty on
watcher
top of shit.
allowed to take a picture of a ballot?
No.
It's an
And
unfortunate
is that
choice
the
of
reason
Americana.
for the sign
but,
that says
whatevs.
no cell phones or cameras?
Part of the reason, yes.
And then could you explain to the jury, please, what an election judge is?
Absolutely. So election judges are folks that come in and help the election department administer the election. So there's a lot of different capacities. The law states that we must use folks that sign up at their party precinct caucuses first. So majority of them are from the major parties, but they are a huge part of having a successful election. So they come in and then we train them, and they are apprised of all the rules and the laws, and they just help us with different things throughout the whole election.
And
Different
so
processes.
you said that sign for no cameras or cell phones, that also applied to election judges?
Yes, that is correct.
Right. Now, what functions do the election judges perform during an election?
It depends on what position they're working on. It's anywhere from registering voters to actually tabulating the votes.
Right. So there's a group of election judges that does the intake when people come in to vote in person and even allows them to register on the day of the election, true?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, that's the first group. Registration judges, correct?
They have different names throughout the state based on their position. We call them e-poll book judges, is what we call them. E-poll book.
All right. The e-poll book judges, they handle voter registration and a check to make sure that the person who wants to vote is a registered voter.
Correct, yes.
And then there are adjudication judges, correct?
Yes.
And what do they do?
They're a bipartisan team of judges that work back in the tabulation room. So with our election management system, their job is to learn the voter intent guide, and they review all those ballots that are sent over that the machine doesn't know. There's more than one oval filled in, or it's a blank ballot. So they have to review all of those for voter intent and, indicate that within the system what the voter wanted to vote for. That is primarily what their job is.
Right. And so how much training does an adjudication election judge receive?
Quite a bit of.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
Sustained.
And then I believe you mentioned signature verification judges?
Yes.
Yes, and what is their job?
So our signature verification judges are also trained to review. We have two different tiers. So our first tier looks at the signature that's actually snipped from the ballot envelope for this election, and then they get one sample of the most recent signature from the voter registration system. So they just have these two images, one from the current envelope and then one from the statewide database, to take a look to see if they can see the characteristics to say, yes, this is the eligible person that submitted this ballot. If they can't see or make that determination, then they send it to a bipartisan team of judges that actually review and look at every single image that's in the statewide database to see if they can find an image that has the characteristics to be able to say confidently, yes, this is the voter that's eligible that submitted it, or no, we need more proof. So we send a letter to those folks, giving them the opportunity to say, yes, I did, or no, I didn't, to cure that ballot. And then, yeah, that's primarily what their duties are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So these signature verification judges, you say they look at, in the first phase, there's one signature verification judge. Could be a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, or unaffiliated, right?
Objection, relevance.
For this particular question, the objection is overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, it is. The law outlines that Tier 1, or the first review, is done by one election judge.
Right. And then if they don't think that the two signatures match, and just so the jury can get a picture, what the first tier adjudication judge has in front of them is a computer monitor, correct?
That is correct, yes.
They don't have an actual signature from the voter.
It is a signature from the voter, but it's just digital on the
Oh
screen.
my God.
Correct.
Yes.
And so one of them is there's two signatures on the monitor.
hate these
One is
people
above
so
and one is below. True?
Objection, relevance.
All right, at this point, I'm going to sustain the objection.
Yeah, it's
There was some
bullshit.
discussion about this on direct, and we've covered it on cross.
Are these signature verification judges handwriting experts?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, you mentioned the meeting that you had with Dr. Frank. Correct?
Yes.
And I believe you said that you were dismissed from the meeting with Dr. Frank.
Yes.
Yes. But you told us that you were uncomfortable.
Yeah,
True?
Yes.
So
because he's a dick.
you didn't want to be in the room. True?
Well,
I was speaking specifically to the presentation that was happening later that evening, where I wasn't comfortable. It was out with the public.
So you would not say that Clerk Peters excused you because you were uncomfortable?
I'm not sure why you'd have to ask her why she dismissed me.
And then
have some ideas.
after that meeting on April 23rd, there was a presentation by Dr. Frank at the Doubletree Hotel, true?
Yes.
And he spoke, and lots of people came and asked questions and agreed and disagreed with Dr. Frank.
oh,
true?
did they? Were
Yes.
there people that disagreed? Okay.
And that was a public meeting.
It
No.
was a presentation, yes.
And then after
on Rumble.
the Dr. Frank presentation at the Doubletree Hotel, where did you and Clerk Peters and the rest of the staff go?
Oh, we went out to dinner.
And Clerk Peters paid for you and all of her staff to have supper together, true?
Objection relevance.
The hell?
Sustained.
Did you get the shrimp cocktail? Please, you're under
Now,
oath.
is it correct
Did
that
you order-
you told us earlier that you went on
Did you order the
vacation
special?
when the trusted build was happening on May 25th?
Yes.
And did Belinda nicely ask you to stay for the trusted build
Did you have an
and
extra
not go on
Bloody
vacation
Mary?
so you could be there?
I don't believe so.
Did anyone ask you
I
to
don't.
stay and not go on vacation?
I don't believe so. No.
Were you concerned about the trusted build?
No.
So the fact that you knew that Clerk Peters wanted an independent expert to be at the trusted build, and you had a meeting on April 23rd where she discussed getting an expert to be present at the trusted build, it didn't concern you?
I wasn't concerned because there are rules in place and the state had to have the background checks and the list of everybody that would be present in that room. So I knew that it wasn't a possibility for that to happen. So I wasn't concerned.
Well, if you know, to enforce all these rules, did the Secretary of State check IDs at the door?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Overruled.
I wasn't present.
So to summarize, Clerk Peters wanted members of the public to observe the trusted build. True?
I believe so.
So let me get back to my original point.
And you believe that transparency in the election
Oh, my
system
God.
is a good thing?
But yeah,
Absolutely.
except for this.
And
Why
then,
did you object to this
after
transparency?
you made the request to David Stahl for the public to be allowed into the trusted build, you got an email from Jesse Romero
I'm telling you, he's
where
going
he
back
said
to his first
only
page of notes.
required personnel from Dominion Voting Systems, Colorado Department of State, and the county will be permitted in the area of the trusted build. True?
Objection, cumulative ask.
We have covered this. It's been asked.
Yeah.
Sustained.
So there you go. Sit down,
In other
Matlock.
words, Jesse Romero denied clerk and
Sit down,
recorder's
Jason Robards.
Peter's request
Sit
for a
down.
transparent trusted bill.
Sit down.
True?
Same objection.
Not true.
Sustained. Please move on to
Bullshit.
topics
Sit
we
down.
haven't covered yet. Thank you.
Sit
And
down.
you went on vacation. True?
I did.
Thank you, Ms. Vance.
You're welcome.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This poor woman.
Ms. Vance, you were asked about the surveillance cameras in
I
2021.
know. He's an idiot. What an asshat.
Was there any legitimate reason that you know of why the surveillance cameras would have been turned off?
No.
Thank you, nothing further. Your Honor, may this witness be released?
Not until I ask the jurors if they have questions.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
Any questions for this witness from the jurors? I don't see any
This is the
hands.
weirdest.
She is released. If she's under subpoena from you, she's released. If you're under subpoena from the defense, then they'll let you know when they need you back.
Okay.
But otherwise, thank you very much for your testimony today. You're free to go.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I don't think they want her back. I
I
don't
leave
think the
this here?
defense
Yes,
wants her to
thank
come
you. Yes, we'll
back.
collect
She's
it.
pretty smart. Yeah, take that Americana with you, sweetheart.
People's
But
next
thank you for your
witness.
service.
Thank
That
you,
was
Your Honor. The
amazing.
people call Lana Jordan.
Okay.
Well done, lady. Well done. Here's how. Good job. Good job, Karen, or Sharon, or Marin, or Perrin. Oh, that's her mom. Her mom's so proud of her. Can I actually ask if everyone can just say whatever they said again, because I didn't catch any of it. I know. I was
Ms.
hoping
Jordan,
for
if you can
questions
come
from
on
the
up here to the
jurors.
white strip of tape
In some
on the
courts, they
floor.
do,
I'll
Badger.
swear you in. Raise your
Apparently
right
this
hand.
one, they
You swear or
do.
affirm under the penalty of law that the statements and testimony you'll give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you could go ahead and take a seat over there in the black chair. And since it might not be readily known how to spell your first name, if you could spell your first and last name, please.
It's Lana, Lhana, Jordan, Jordan.
All right, she's your witness, Miss Drake.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Miss Jordan. How are you today?
Good morning, and well, how are you?
Well, thank you. How are you employed?
I work for Mesa County,
What's your job title?
IT Operations Manager.
How long have you had that job?
Since 2014.
Would you please describe for the jury what your job duties entail?
I oversee the business systems analysts, which are the application support for all of our departments in Mesa County, and the support specialist, which is on-site support, so
She's IT.
hardware and a small bit of software, and then a help desk person.
In the 10 years you've had this position, have you become familiar with IT security protocols?
I have.
Oh, hi, Easily. How are you? Waking up
Do
late.
you
I
have
love
any
that.
interaction in
That's
your
a
job
great
with the
idea.
Mesa
I
County
might try
Elections
that tomorrow.
I do.
Can you please describe for the jury what that interaction is like?
Yes, the elections department is located at our central services site. We provide them with network connectivity, infrastructure, phones, their workstations, and some software.
Does Mesa County IT do any work with elections equipment?
We do not.
Why not?
It has always gone through the vendor,
Do you know who the vendor is?
Dominion.
Are you familiar with something called a trusted build?
Somewhat.
What is your familiarity with that?
It's something that they do at the beginning of the election to get the equipment ready.
Have you participated in a trusted build?
I have not.
Are you aware that there was a trusted build in Mesa County in May of 2021?
I am.
How did you become aware of that?
I was questioned
Yeah,
by
it's
Ms.
been a long
Peters to come and oversee with some of my staff.
Get outside if you
oversee.
can. I'm going
the
to.
build.
I'm going to get outside this weekend.
What
promised
specifically did the
myself.
defendant request?
She requested 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, or an independent, if I couldn't find a Democrat, to oversee while they went through the process of the trusted build.
You mentioned Ms. Peters. Do you know Ms. Peters?
Yes,
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please describe for the jury what she's wearing?
She is wearing a rust or red colored blouse and a navy jacket
And where is she seated?
in the middle of the defendant's table.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant.
Record will so reflect.
You said that Ms. Peters wanted to bring in some people to the trusted build. Can you describe that communication a little bit more?
Tina called and wanted to make sure there was nothing unusual occurring during the trusted build and asked for IT staff to attend. The Secretary of State's office had explained due to threats on election personnel that constituents weren't allowed. It would have to be a Mesa County staff member.
And so, did you testify earlier that she was requesting that IT somehow coordinate that Republicans and Democrats attend?
Yes. 2 of each party. Or an independent.
And
Or 2 independents, I guess.
was she asking for somebody who was in an official capacity or just some random member of the public?
Well, someone from IT with an affiliation of Republican or Democrat.
Oh, I
Two of
see.
each party that works in my department.
I see. Thank you for clarifying that. And how did you respond to that?
Well, first, I don't know the affiliation of my staff. I said that I would need to check. We have never overseen a trusted build, and we do everything we can to help out our elected officials. So I said I would check. At the time, it was mid-April, and the request was made for the week before Memorial Day, so I knew I'd be short-staffed, and to have 4 people off the floor during that time period would likely be troublesome.
Your Honor, may I have permission to approach the witness with Exhibit 19?
You may.
Well, so that's a
No
little bit
objection,
different than how
stipulate to
Matlock
finish.
characterized it.
Okay. Exhibit 19 is admitted.
He characterized it as she just wanted some IT help and she was refused. No, she was asking for all 4 individuals to come from a small IT department. That's fucking ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Ms. Jordan, do you recognize Exhibit number 19?
I do.
What is that, please?
It is an email that was forwarded to me.
Who is the email from?
The original email is from a Kibbe Ward that was sent to Tina, Brandy Bance, and Belinda Nicely.
And what is the topic matter of that email?
Brenda sent this to me after we spoke. When Tina called me, we were on speakerphone, and Belinda was there as well. Belinda forwarded this to me and asked me to watch the video that was embedded, and commented on Dr. Frank, who was in the video, believing that our numbers were wrong in Mesa County, and invited me to attend. Dr. Frank was coming to town that week.
Did you attend?
I did not.
Why not?
I don't know. I honestly wasn't interested to.
Okay. Let's get back to the exhibit. Belinda
she knew he was
emailed
full of
you
shit.
and asked you to do some things. What else was the communication in the
Fair
email?
done. That's cute.
She asked me to watch the video, and I was still looking into, at the time that I received the email, I was still looking into whether or not we would oversee the trusted build. And that response was the next day, next 2 days. As to us, IT did not participate in
Why
that
is
oversight.
that?
Well, we've never participated in the trusted build before. We don't have the training or the expertise to say whether or not it was done properly.
Did you make that decision yourself, or did you consult with others?
I consulted with others.
Who did you talk to?
On the day of the call, I contacted Todd Hollenbeck, who's the Deputy County Administrator and my supervisor.
Anyone else?
Todd organized a meeting. That next day, I met with Peter Bear, the County Administrator, Todd Hollenbeck, and Nina Atencio, who was the acting county attorney at the time.
And was it in that collective meeting that you decided how to respond to the request for IT support in the trusted build?
It was.
Describe for the jury why IT was not going to support the trusted build.
We have never before oversaw a trusted build. We had no expertise.
How did you communicate that decision to the defendant or to her staff?
That was the last part of this email thread on April 21st of 2021. I responded that we weren't going to attend the trusted build for that reason. We didn't have the expertise or training.
Did you have any other
Little
communication
different than
with the
just refusing
defendant about
outright,
who
isn't
was
it?
allowed to be present for the trusted build?
It's all how you characterize something. I guess it's
Just on that,
feelings
the
over
original
facts.
phone call, she stated that the Secretary of State's office wouldn't allow constituents to be present, that it would have to be a Mesa County staff member.
Let's talk about video surveillance for a moment. Were you aware that the video surveillance was turned off in 2021?
I was.
How did you learn of that?
Due to the abnormal request, my help desk person forwarded me the original email that was sent by Belinda Nicely to turn the cameras off
Do you recall approximately when the request was made?
It was the week before the trusted build. I still had it blocked on my calendar.
How often had you previously been asked to turn off the surveillance cameras?
Never.
How did you respond to that request in 2021?
I contacted Todd Hollenbeck.
And do you know whether the cameras were turned off?
Ultimately, they were, but there was discussion prior to.
Who was the discussion between?
Todd Hollenbeck, myself, and I think Pete Bear came, but I don't think I spoke with Pete. I think Todd did.
Do you know who has the authority to request the cameras be turned off?
An elected official or department head.
Do you know whether the cameras were turned off?
They were.
1 minute, please.
Yes?
Thank you. No further
Yes.
questions.
Do
at
the
this
good,
time.
do the
Case.
good work, Scott.
Thank
Do
you,
the good
Your Honor.
work.
Morning, Ms. Jordan.
Good morning.
We've not met before today, true?
True.
And did you receive a subpoena from our office?
A subpoena was given to the treasurer's office, and I saw it, yes.
Let's start with where we ended when the government was asking you questions. You were talking about the cameras being turned off,
Yes.
right? And you actually discussed this with your boss, Mr. Hollenbeck, true?
I did.
When you got the request in 2021, you talked to Mr. Hollenbeck to see if it would be okay to turn off the cameras,
Oh,
true?
Teresa.
Did you think it might be illegal to turn them off?
Objection, lack of foundation, calls for speculation.
Overruled. What she thought, if you thought that.
I don't know.
Well, certainly you wouldn't have turned off the cameras if you thought it was illegal, true?
True.
And it wasn't illegal to turn off the cameras, was it?
I don't know.
That's the right answer. She's not an expert in the law. Calls for a legal conclusion, right? I know this. We're getting really good at this. I could be a
When
lawyer.
Clerk Peters asked you on April 19, 2021, if you could provide an IT employee or employees to observe the trusted build, she told you why she wanted IT present, true?
True.
I think on direct you said she wanted to make sure that nothing unusual occurred during the trusted build.
True.
And you're aware that as the county clerk and recorder, she has a legal obligation to preserve the election records of Mesa County, true?
True.
Now, when she asked you to provide
How would she turn the
IT
cameras off?
an IT observer or observers to the trusted build, did she ask you to do anything illegal?
Again, I don't know.
Yeah, she's not a legal expert. Where's this fucking
Did
objection?
she tell you that she's not a computer expert and she wanted an expert in the room to observe the trusted build? Did she tell you that?
I believe so.
And you do have computer experts in the IT department, true?
True.
And so far as you are aware and were aware, it would have been legal for your employees to observe the trusted build, true?
From what Tina stated, yes.
And yet you refused Clerk Peters' request.
Yes.
Now,
Because.
did Clerk Peters ask you to conceal anything?
Because.
Did Clerk and Recorder Peters ask you not to mention that she called?
No,
And then she sent you an email on the Mesa County system inviting you to the trusted build. True?
no,
I'm sorry. You are correct. The email came from somebody else.
the email isn't an invite to to oversee the trusted build. An email was to look at the video, Dr. Frank's video.
I beg your pardon. Right. Okay, so Ms. Peters' request was made by Clerk Peters personally to you on the telephone.
Correct,
And that was on April 19th, 2021.
correct,
And then you answered her on April the 21st, 2 days later, true?
correct, yes,
And in the meantime, you met with the county attorney and your boss, true?
true.
Now, I believe on direct, I want to know if I heard this correctly. You said that because the trusted build, which was going to be May the 25th, would be around the time of Memorial Day,
I mean,
that you
just
would be
happens.
short-staffed.
I have curly hair, and
Is that
On
right?
April
I just
19th, I said that, yes.
I get it
And
wet
how
and I
many
fall
IT
asleep on it.
employees are there
That's how
in
this
your
is.
IT department?
And
At
today
the
it's
time-
dirty.
We have 25 now.
My hair looks
At the
better when it's
time,
dirty.
We had 19, I believe.
Not like
Right.
really, really dirty, but
And
a day or
I
so.
believe you
2
said
days.
that you couldn't, because you'd be short-staffed over Memorial Day.
I love
you
her
couldn't
hair
afford
color,
to
that
have
chestnut
4
kind of hair
people
color. I think
missing.
that's so
Is that
pretty.
right?
Yes,
So your understanding is that Clerk Peters was insisting on having 4 observers in the trusted build?
yes,
Well, could you have spared 1?
if I had somebody with knowledge of the equipment, potentially.
I think that's super pretty, super
And Clerk
attractive.
Peters explained why
I
she
love it.
wanted
Jelly.
the county IT department to provide the computer expert, true?
True,
She explained to you that the Secretary of State had told her they wanted only county employees to be present at the trusted build, true?
true,
And you were the only department in the county with county employees who are computer experts, true?
I don't think I can answer that. I don't know if there's other computer experts out there. I'm sure there are. But yes, we would have the majority of the expertise.
Now, is it correct, looking at that email, that
I know,
your
that's
response to
nice.
Clerk Peters was as
Oh,
follows?
pretty, so pretty. Oh, auburn hair
IT
is so pretty too.
will not be able to assist with oversight on the trusted build next month. We have never supported the equipment, and we do not have the experience or training on the Dominion side of things. Did I read that correctly?
You did?
And the date of your email was April 21st, true?
True,
And that was 34 days before the trusted build, true?
yes,
Where are we
True.
going with this?
And your IT employees are familiar with computers, true?
true,
And is it, well, let me start the question over, I apologize.
Here we go.
You could have said, IT would like to help, but we don't have the
Oh,
experience or
okay.
training on
You
Dominion.
could have been nicer.
So could you please help us learn so we can assist at the trusted build? Did you respond that way?
No.
I did not.
She didn't have the people to spare.
You didn't offer
Dick
that option
Weed.
to Clerk Peters.
I did not.
No. Let's work in absolutes. Let's work in what happened. Focus. Focus. Focus, Perry Mason. Come on. Come on, Cocoon. Focus. Let's keep it. She's like, get me the fuck out of here.
And again, I
He's
wanna
trying to figure out how
beat
he's going
this
to ask this.
again, but I have
Couldn't
to
you
bring
guys
it
have
up.
learned it in 34
The,
days?
It was not illegal to have the cameras off. True.
Oh, no, we're back to the cameras now.
I
Whoops.
don't know. We rely on our elected officials to know the laws, and we decide based on what they tell us.
But, sir, my question is, why did she turn them off? Why did she? That's the question
Now,
we should be asking.
I believe you said, in response to
Why?
a question from the government, that you didn't attend the Dr. Frank presentation because you were not interested. True?
True.
And I believe you also mentioned that as IT director, you do everything you can
This should be good.
to ensure that Mesa County elected officials are successful.
I'm not the IT director, but yes, I did say that we do what we can to make elected officials successful.
I do apologize. What is your title?
IT operations manager.
IT operations manager. At any rate, as IT operations manager, you do everything you can to ensure that Mesa County elected officials are successful.
We do.
And then on
Tina's a
April the
criminal.
20th, you had a meeting with the county supervisor and the assistant county attorney to discuss whether or not your department would provide an observer or observers to the trusted build, a computer expert, to see what happened to the computers. True?
I had a meeting with the county administrator, the deputy county administrator, and the acting county attorney. But yes,
Thank you. Did you invite Clerk and Recorder Peters to the meeting?
I did not.
Was it her meeting? Did she call the meeting?
Now,
I'm confused.
if a county IT expert, computer expert, had observed the trusted build, we wouldn't be here, would we?
No, that's not
Objection.
true.
Calls for
That is so stupid. What a fucking rookie question.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I missed.
Sustained.
Thank you. Well, if you had assigned one of your computer experts to observe the trusted build, Clerk Peters would not have needed to find an outside computer expert to observe. True?
That is objection.
Calls for speculation.
Exactly.
beyond the scope. Lack of
Sus-
personal knowledge.
Sustained.
Yeah, stop.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Thank you.
Yeah, see? Because you're dumb.
Redirect.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hi, Peace Love.
Ms.
How are
Jordan,
you?
you were asked about your response, and given the hypothetical that you could have asked the clerk if she could train you or your team in these computers, why did you not respond in that way?
We have never supported that equipment. It's always been completely separate from Mesa County IT.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Questions for this witness from the jury?
Oh, that's right.
Looks like we may have a couple.
Oh,
We can have the bailiff come retrieve the questions.
ooh. Questions from the jury. Questions from the jury. There's questions from the jury. Questions from the jury. I'm really digging her black blazer, white blouse look
Here,
with a
counsel
little
approach.
mother of pearl, you know, or abalone thing going on, or maybe labradite, whatever. She's got style. You know, not only are you a brilliant IT expert, but you, lady, you got style. I'm not sure I'm digging the cuffs on the blazer, but that's okay. We're going to let it go. We're going to let it go. because frankly, I love everything else. Questions from the jurors. It's time for the jurors to ask a couple of questions. What are they gonna ask? Yeah. What are you doing later? What's your sign? What hair color is that? Tina Peters, am I right? Oh. Tina used to be a blonde. I should find a picture of Tina Peters. God damn it. I don't have that stuff like right at hand. I gotta download some Tina Peters shit. Oh, hey, there's nothing wrong with a good head of white, gray, whatever, salt and pepper. Girl, I say rock it.
Ms.
Rock
Jordan,
it to
I have
the
a
box.
few questions from the jurors
Rock
here.
the hair to the box.
The first
I
one
don't
is,
care.
would you have been able to
whatever
get
you
someone
want.
trained in Dominion systems in time for the trusted
Me?
build if asked to do so?
I just like cream. What does that mean?
I can't say, that. I can't
Oh, yeah.
answer that. I don't know.
Okay. Are there other third-party vendor software that IT does not have knowledge or expertise on?
Yes.
I won't ask the next question then. Why did you ultimately decide to turn off the cameras?
The request came from an elected official.
Questions based on those questions, Ms. Drake.
Which
Who
elected
was the elected
official?
official who asked that the cameras be turned off?
The request actually came from Belinda Nisley, but the response on the help desk ticket went to both.
Went to both.
I'm
Both
sorry,
of-
Tina.
Thank you,
Peters
nothing
and
further.
Belinda.
Mr. Case, questions based on the questions of the jury?
So you honored the request to turn off the cameras because you wanted to help the elected official, clerk and recorder Peters.
That's
No,
correct.
she was
Thank you.
requested to.
Right.
Yeah,
Is Ms.
you're
Jordan
so
released from her
wise,
subpoena?
Scott.
Yes, please.
Crazy.
Yes, Your
All
Honor,
right.
and you're excused from your subpoena.
Thank you.
Ms. Jordan,
Unfortunately,
thank you very
this
much for your
guy,
testimony here today. You're
the Walmart
excused from your
Perry
obligations to the
Mason.
court. Have a good rest of your day.
he doesn't have shit.
People's next witness.
He doesn't have shit. He doesn't have wisdom. He sold his soul. Girl, congratulations. You did
Thank
a
you, Your
great
Honor. This time, the
job.
prosecution will call Brenda
And you looked
Moore.
fantastic doing it. Watch Granny down at the bottom. Remember, she's the linebacker that runs through people to get to the ladies. So don't get in her way.
Ms. Moore, if you can come on up here, there's a white strip of tape on the floor. I'm going to swear you in.
Everybody's got their super suits on today.
Please raise
I
your
got
right
my
hand for
super
me.
suit
Please swear
on
or
and my
affirm under
Coach
penalty of law that the
bag,
statements and testimony
my
you
little
give in the
shoulder
court today will be the
bag.
truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
What's in that bag,
Please
I
take a seat over
wonder?
here in the black chair.
No,
And if
Lee,
you
it's
could
the
state,
fucking
your full
third
name and then
day. I'm
spell
so
your full
mad.
name, please.
We have to get caught up on the first 2 days. Opening statements were on Wednesday, so I'm going to go pull those
Brenda
tapes
Moore,
and we'll do it.
BrendaMoore.
All right. She is your witness, Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms.
Tina
Moore.
Peters,
How are
who
you?
I'm
stole
well,
the
thank
election data and then
How
gave
are
it to
you
Mike
employed
Lindell.
today?
I'm not employed at Mesa County. I'm employed at Colorado Mesa University.
In what capacity do you work at Colorado Mesa University in?
I am the Chief People Officer, Assistant Vice President of Human Resources.
So, Chief People Officer, is that term synonymous with human resources?
It is. It's a Human Resources Director generally.
Sounds
I
like a
know, I
large
didn't even know it was happening.
responsibility. Is that accurate?
Shout out to the
Yes.
lounge.
In terms of employers in
brought
Mesa
to my
County, where does
attention.
Colorado Mesa University fit in terms of the amount of employees that you have the ability to serve as the Chief People Officer?
It's in the top 10
And how long have you been at CMU?
since mid-June
Of
of
this year?
2024.
Congratulations on the new job.
Thank you.
Prior to assuming this new job, where did you work at?
Mesa County.
In what role?
I was the Human Resources Director
From what date to what date?
from August of 2019 through June of 2024.
So I'm going to take you back to your former role as the Human Resources Director for the entire county of Mesa County to April and specifically May 2021 into June 2021. At that time, were you aware of any vacancies beginning in early to mid-April in the county clerk and recorder's office?
Yes,
Was there a particular vacancy in a position known as administrative assistant?
yes,
Okay. How many vacancies in the clerk and recorder's office with the position title of administrative assistant existed beginning on or about April 13th, 2021?
1.
Who was the former employee who had left county service?
Lori I apologize, Tiffany Seeley.
Okay. So from what date to what date was that position of administrative assistant assigned to the clerk and recorder's office vacant?
From April 13th, 2021 until August 26th, 2021.
So as the HR director at that time, if there's a vacancy, how does a job posting get online or initiated to fill that position?
A request from the department to post a position.
When did the department in question, the clerk and recorder's office, initiate a request to post the position to fill Miss Seeley's position that was vacant as of April 13th, 2021?
June 3rd, 2021.
So is it fair to say if the posting for that vacant position did not occur until June, was it vacant on May 25th, 2021?
Yes.
Tina's shaking her head. She's
Taking
getting
you
all
back
upset and
to
angsty
middle of
about
May
it.
2021,
I sense a
was there a request
conflict
from a
point
senior
coming up.
executive within the clerk and recorder's office to initiate the badging or the providing of credentials to somebody that would have some role with the clerk and recorder's
This
office
entire
in terms of what
scene
lease
is
was being
screaming
represented
neutrals,
to you?
right? It's
Yes.
all browns
Tell us
and
about that.
whites and
On May
browns
13th,
and
I
tans
received a
and
voicemail
beiges
from
and
Belinda
grays,
Nisley, who is the deputy,
blacks. It's just like all
and
the
she
colors are
requested
muted
that
and
we create a badge for someone
neutral.
to fulfill IT duties.
weird.
And then on May 14th, she followed up with an email indicating the person would be Gerald Wood.
The person you talked about who initiated the communication with you or your department, you said her name was Belinda Nisley, correct?
Correct.
What department or office did she work in?
The clerk and recorder's office.
And where in the kind of pecking order did Miss Nisley fit in terms of leadership?
Second in command,
Second in command to who?
Tina Peters.
You mentioned Tina Peters. Do you know her?
Yes.
Did you work with her when you were the HR director?
Yes.
Is the person you worked with and knew, Tina Peters, in court today?
Yes.
Are you able to identify that person
Oh,
in
she's
terms of where
Colorado.
that person is and
Actually,
any
she's not
article of clothing
Arizona.
that
She's
person is
Colorado.
wearing?
She went to Arizona, I
She's
think.
right there. She has a navy blue blazer and red shirt.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that Ms. Moore has identified the defendant subject to
But
cross-examination.
anyway,
It will so reflect.
Okay. So with that series of communications
Gerald Wood
occurring
is
between you, your
interesting.
office, and Ms. Nisley, what did you know about an individual by the name of Gerald Wood?
That he would be coming in to
I believe
work on
Belinda
their
is.
IT equipment.
Was there any specific or unique request made of you and your office regarding the areas that he was going to be authorized to work in terms of what his badge would provide him access with?
Yes, they requested that his badge be a copy of the access that Sandra Brown, who is the back office manager in elections, had.
how would you describe the level of access that Sandra Brown was being provided as the back office manager in the elections department?
She was one of just a couple people with the access to election equipment in the clerk and recorder's office.
Did Ms. Brown have apparently a higher level of access compared to other clerk and recorder employees?
Yes,
And a higher level of access compared to other Mesa County employees?
yes,
So the request for Mr. Wood to have a similar or cloned version of Ms. Brown's access?
yes.
So did that actually get done? Was a badge, a county access badge with the kind of extensive level of access made for a person known as Gerald Wood?
Yes,
Do you know the date that that badge was done?
I
or-
do. I do not.
Okay. Based on that interaction, what did you, as the HR director for the entire county, think what this person was doing?
It's an unusual request. I rarely had requests for badges to be made for people who were not county employees. But it made sense because not all of the IT equipment in the clerk and recorder's office is maintained or owned by Mesa County. So it made sense that our internal Mesa County IT staff could not assist them with some of the technology needs.
Okay then. But to be clear, was, as the HR director in mid-May 2021, did you have the ability to know who was and who was not an employee of Mesa County government?
Yes,
At any time, was Gerald Wood an employee of Mesa County, Colorado?
never.
Did he ever have the title, he being Gerald Wood, the title of administrative assistant in the clerk and recorder's office?
No.
In terms of payroll,
why did he get a
would you be
badge?
involved with payroll, or would that be a different department
I'm so
in Mesa County
confused.
government?
It's a separate department, but I'm involved.
Did you, in your HR capacity, have any awareness if Gerald Wood, who was not an employee, who was not an administrative assistant, was being paid at all by county government?
He was not.
Did you correspond internally to your staff about this, as you described, unusual request?
Yes. Because it was unusual, I wanted to let them know if Gerald Wood came to the office and I wasn't there, that they weren't onboarding him as an employee, that they needed to make the badge, and that he would not be an employee.
Okay, so if a legitimate a legitimate employee was being onboarded, would they have a multi-hour onboarding process
Yes,
with finance paperwork and tax paperwork?
that is correct.
Okay. Let's talk about,
Wait a minute.
has your office in the past?
How did he
when you
get
were
a
the HR
card?
director,
How did he get a
made
card?
badges for election judges or people who came in temporarily to assist with the running of an election?
Yes,
Was this situation with Gerald Wood the same as that or different?
very different.
How so?
We would onboard election judges, enter them in our system. They were paid a paycheck through Mesa County. They were considered employees, generally temporary in nature, but they were employees of Mesa County.
Ms. Moore, just a moment, I'm going to check with my colleagues. Ms. Moore, I have no further questions for you on my direct examination. Defense counsel may have some questions for you on cross. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Moore.
Hello.
I just have a few questions for you. So you were hired at Colorado Mesa University June of 2024, true?
True.
You became the HR director in Mesa County in 2020?
2019.
Okay. I thought from your grand jury testimony you said 2020. It was 2019?
It was 2019.
Okay.
I corrected that right
Oh,
after
did you?
I had, yes.
Okay. So, and you've talked about elected officials are in your human resource system but are not employees, true?
True.
In your structure as the Human Resources Director in Mesa County, there were hourly
Humans
employees.
resource.
Yes.
Sorry.
There were part-time employees,
Yes.
and there were temporary employees.
Yes.
And I think you've stated you didn't require posting for temporary employees, true?
True.
You're familiar with Mr. Gerald Wood?
Yes.
Did you ever meet him?
No.
Did you ever talk to him?
No.
So May 14th, I think you said Deputy Director Nicely asked you to create a badge for him? May 14th?
She requested it originally May 13th,
That's
followed up with who it was for on May 14th.
That's right. She left you a voicemail on the 13th, right?
Correct.
And then the email on the 14th?
Yes.
Okay. I think she said in her voicemail they needed a badge because they needed IT services. True?
To my recollection, yes.
Then I think on the 14th, she specifically identified Gerald Wood.
Yes.
He wasn't considered a full-time employee,
He wasn't an employee at all.
right? Not full-time, part-time, or temporary, correct?
Correct.
But you still issued him a badge.
Yes.
In fact, you sent an email to Human Resources that Gerald would be coming in for his badge.
Yes.
You stated in your email he was not an employee.
Correct.
You've had some requests, a few, I think you said, for consultants to have badges that are not employees, right?
Yes.
I think before Gerald Wood, it's fair to say a few times, not never, correct?
Correct.
Sorry, just to confirm, you never met or talked with Gerald Wood, true?
True.
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Hi, Val.
Did you
How
ever
are
meet or
you?
talk to Conan Hayes?
Oh, Yellowstone. Oh.
Thank you, thanks for your time.
Be careful.
Any redirect, Mr. Shapiro?
Tina Peters is getting uncomfortable.
Conan
Don't you
Hayes.
worry.
In May of 2021, to your knowledge, was there a Mesa County employee by the name of Conan James Hayes?
No.
Thank you.
Any questions for this witness? It looks like we may have one, so at least one, I should say. The bailiff approach.
Get out of the way. Bailiff's trying to do some shit. Just because she's not wearing a big uniform doesn't mean that she's not the bailiff and you gotta figure it out. Yeah, Tina's very uncomfortable in that chair. She's wishing she had a fake purple cushion like I do. Ah, Tina Peters number 4. The headline for today's hearing, folks, is there are many Tina Peters in this room. That all of them are Tina Peters. Like the one in the stripes down at the bottom center of your screen, that's Tina Peters
All right.
7. She don't get in
Ms.
her
Moore,
way
I
when she has
have,
to pee.
I don't want to say it's a compound question. It's just two questions. I think they're very interrelated, so I'm going to ask both of them. If you need me to repeat it, break it down, I can do that for
Oh
you.
God, here we go.
Do all hires have to go through HR? Can a director or
movie?
elected official hire without HR involvement?
All hires must go through HR, and a director or elected official cannot hire an employee without going through HR.
Questions based on that question, Mr. Shapiro?
No questions based on that question and answer.
Ms. Jones?
No, thank you.
Is Ms. Moore released from her
No,
subpoena?
thank you.
She is released from the prosecution subpoena.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Moore, thank you so much for your testimony here
Wow.
today. If you could take that exhibit, give it to Mr. Shapiro.
If
He'll
you
know what to
could-
do with it.
If you could take that
you no longer
water
have any
jug
further
and
obligations to the
refill
court.
it
Thank
for us,
you.
that'd be great. Thank you so much. What a love. What a love you are. Thank you so much. I'm still not a fan of the
yes.
gray suit. I'm sorry. Light gray suits are just not my thing. Okay? Stop. You did a great job. You did wonderful. Thank you so much for your
It's
service.
12 minutes before lunch. If we have someone we can get started
It's
on or
12
something
minutes
short, I'm happy
before
to do
lunch.
that. Or if you think now is a good time to take an early break, we can do that too.
I will defer to the court. We have a witness who I think is relatively short, who is, oh, he's not here. Oh, no.
Oh, well then
Good time to
forget
take
it.
lunch.
Taking lunch.
Fair enough.
I think I need to take a lunch.
Okay.
Here you go.
So
When are you coming back?
I'm going to repeat the admonishment to you. Don't discuss this case amongst yourselves.
Tina number
You've started to hear
8.
some evidence, some
There goes
testimony.
7.
You
Look
haven't
at her.
gotten the law.
Look at her. Watch her.
You haven't gotten
Oh, she's
closing
not gonna go the
arguments.
front way
There's a lot more
this
to
time.
come.
She got in
So
trouble, I
it's critical
bet.
that you keep that open mind.
The It
and
movie.
don't
I wanna see
discuss
that.
the case amongst
I love
yourselves.
that.
Don't
I love-
engage in any
well,
research and don't
I like
form or
Stephen King,
express
but
any
he kind of
opinions
pisses me
for all the reasons I've stated, plus
whatever.
many others. Don't do any research about this
Whatevs.
case or this kind of case. Don't go to any
I
locations
certainly
we've
didn't
talked
expect
about.
this
Don't look up
today.
any names related
Holy
to what
mazzolis.
we've done or
It's
the
almost
like.
11.
We'll take a bit of a shorter lunch today, and not that
Yeah,
short,
let's
but we'll
do
come
that.
back at 1:15 p.m. My hope is today
Wait, what?
To get done a little bit early, 4:15 or so, 4:30 at the latest. We've gone late a couple of days. It's Friday, and I'm sure everyone wants to get their weekend started. So that's a hint to the lawyers, what the court is looking to do for timing-wise,
books are
and also
better.
my hope in terms of expectations.
Okay, so here's what I'm
managing
gonna do.
Expectations for you all. 1:15
I don't
p.m.
know
is
if
when we'll be
Gerald's
back.
exists.
All rise for the
I
jury.
need to do a little bit of work on this one. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say, folks. Look at, see, there she goes. Look at her run. Look at her fucking run. Grandma needs a catheter. All right? We're all at that age where, we can't hold it as well as we used to. But Granny, it's time. She runs out in front of the jury. Can you believe that shit? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, we're going to make them quiet. Sorry, Badger. Yeah, Gerald exists, but anyway, so here's what I'm going to do because today's going to be a long day. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, oh my God, everybody's freaking out. I'm going to go ahead and actually take a break now because I need a nap. And then what I'll do is go live when they go live again. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do. So everybody needs a break from me, that's for sure. But I'll take their lunch break and I'll come back when they come back, which I think is an hour and 50. I don't even. Okay, so they're an hour. So they're 11:51. So that's like an hour and 20 minutes. Like an hour and 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Thank you for everyone for, making sure we knew it was happening. Hello. So yeah, I'll see you in a little bit. But have a good break. Enjoy your break. And I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Get some lunch or get a snack. It's cookie time on the East Coast, I think.